New era niggas just scream out gang gang. My era niggas outside that gang bang. Old enough to know niggas that made it onto gangland. I don't say that to grandstand, I'm just spitting the facts, man. New rappers too busy just making sing-alongs. More raps will have it going savage like the Viacom. You don't want the smoke, homie, then your weed is strong. Good to see you smoke along to that Cheech and Chong. Me and my team, we on the front line. Steady putting in work, homie, it's always crunch time. Hard times produce me, dog. This ain't a movie, it ain't WWE when I mention the bloodline. Homie, I want mine, that's why I move different. Y'all too laxy-daisy, I keep myself disciplined. Repetition on repetition, training is rigorous. Only way to survive the streets that's dangerous and vigorous. Behavior villainous, leave no traces of witnesses. Moment of silence for the taking of all our innocence. Now back to business, somewhat of a practitioner, cause there's no shortcuts in life, no pills that make you limitless. That's ridiculous, far set from reality, like dudes that's licorice. Frame of thought is insanity, causing calamity if you actually watching and listening. Hoping catching out from the dudes that started visiting. How you missing it? Losing profits and dividends. The way your boys been cooking, they need to give me a Michelin. The bliss is ignorant, say they don't like to mention them. They say we don't mention the bodies that's in Lake Michigan. Fucking hypocrites, I separate from the fakes. Roam with a pride of lines, identify all the stakes. Hubris says they folly and catch on other mistakes. Matter of time before they're just another body that's in the lake. Navigate, these troubled waters won't choose my fate. My vision is too ambition like Alexander the Great. Say there's much on my plate, but I carry my weight. Figuratively and literally, for all those who can relate. I never break, you never get me to fold. You never get me to leave, Chicago is still my home. But I carry my heat, this windy city is cold. Valentine's Day massacre, but wasn't really Capone. Face blown out of proportion, the different views of contortion. Use best proceed with precaution before you lie dead in a coffin. It's not a threat, that's a promise. Best quit talking your nonsense, your body could end up missing. Got your family claiming we lost them. Can't find them, bad time and he's flatlining. Good riddance, bit it negative to mankind. And I'm like Jack Reacher, the equalizer, John Wick, Jason Bourne, the accountant. Either one, you can take your pick. The damage I could do with my side weapon. John Wick with my P40 Smith & Wesson. Opposition lightweight, so I'm not threatened. I'm just glad about the hate that they keep sending. It's really easy talk that rah-rah on the internet. There's words to Zaza, I heard y'all ain't got your fingers wet. Don't get your cherry pop by the very op. We bust the real ones, got the heavy guap, you just carry prop. Bunch of these gangsters claim to be hard to the core, but they really not like women that claim to be faithful. But they really thought, act like they down, but when shit goes down, they call the city cops. Same fools think they know a lot, no dillies. Tired of all of this fake shit, with fake asses and fake tits. They fake smiles, but fake lips. Picasso looking with their facelift. What I call the replacement, with the so-called real are the fakest. So the fakest niggas are the greatest. What was common sense no longer makes sense. What was common sense is now rare sense. What was funny then is now flagrant. Living in your thoughts, I don't pay rent. I take my time, you lack patience. Then your blood drip on the pavement. With a headshot, got you brainless. After getting hit with that stainless, kill instinct, call me craven.
We going up, shit going down. We lighting them up, you best hit the ground. Shooting them up, run after round. When that blood in the air, you better not dare to come around town. Father, please forgive me, have mercy on my soul. Fools keep trying to test me and I will never fold. It's the way that Wendy raised me, the city of the gold. Load them up and let them go, load them up and let them go, load them up and let them fly.
You know what it is. It's your boy El Divino Vega. This is the Chop Shop. It's Friday night. And I felt like, why not continue the conversation I had about 2 Fridays ago with none other than the gentleman I was having that conversation with. And that, of course, is the brother, the homie, Philos.
Brother, I think you're muted.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Nah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Nah, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Nah.
All right, y'all gotta let me know in the comment section if y'all can
I was
hear me.
trying to.
Yeah. I mean, because on my end, I'm seeing that my mic is picking me up.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Maybe is it me?
Hold on.
Because I hear the music, I just don't hear you.
Let's see. Is it because of the music? Can you hear me now?
Mm-mm.
Hold on. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Can you hear me now?
Mm-mm. Womp womp womp.
Hold on. Only one way to figure this out. Give me a second here.
Does the chat hear you at all, or?
Yeah, y'all gonna have to let me know in the chat. If y'all can hear me, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna log into the. I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find my live here on the TV.
Yeah.
See if I can hear myself. Huh? What's that on? Hold on. Let's at least put on some music. Well, I could.
Nothing, bro. Nothing.
It's on your end. It's on your end.
Is it me? But I
Yeah.
hear the music though. How could it be me,
I have no idea.
bro?
I have no idea. I can
Hold
hear
on. Let
you.
me. I'm gonna. I'm
I hear
gonna. I'm gonna
myself, I hear
step out
you.
and come back in.
All right, bet. Let's do that. Oh, having complications over here, technical difficulties. This is what happens when we have street level productions, as I said in the last live, but we're trying to make some moves happen regardless. So we're gonna see if Silos can come back and maybe the situation will be fixed. It might be because he's doing that off his phone, and I think he needs. Can you hear
That
me now?
was nuts. Yeah, that was nuts. I don't know what was going
That
on
was
there.
nuts. I'm almost convinced it's, I don't know that I was gonna say it's probably your phone, but I mean you hear
Yeah.
me now, so
Yeah.
that's crazy. That was crazy. I was like, there's no way. There's
What
no
a way!
way.
What a way to start it, huh? What a
Right,
way to start it.
right. Like I said in the last episode, this is what happens when you have street level productions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Street level over here, dog. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, without further ado, again, it's yours truly, Il Divino Vega. This is the Chop Shop, and I'm joined with my brother Silos. Real Talk Productions is in the building.
What's up? What's up?
Man, my guy, you're working. I see you.
Hey man, we trying, man. We trying over here, man. You know, right now, as you can see, I'm on the road. I'm not in the original studio I'm always at. I'm here in the telly right now. But yeah, man, like, you know, if I'm not sleeping, I'm doing something, bro. So I'm always trying to push, man.
Hey,
Got to
I'm here
do
to
it
do it.
now.
Only way to do it, man. Only way to
Yes,
do it.
sir. Yes, sir, man.
Right before we went live, you said you was watching Daredevil and Invincible and
Oh man.
The Boys.
Yeah, I like I told you, man. Invincible. I know there's a lot of critiques out there on Invincible and the animation and whatnot. And to me, this has got to be the most drop you in action packed season of Invincible, top notch. As my rank level, I will still put season one just because of the wow factor of you not expecting of what this show was going to be. But it's like a season one is like a 1A, and this season will be like a 1B for me.
Oh,
Everything
wow.
else you could put, you know, in whatever order you want. But yeah, Invincible, it's a top notch for me, and there's still so much more to come that I'm really excited. So
Man, no, for sure. I've been hearing nothing but good things about it myself. So it's one of those, again, shows I haven't been able to watch. Like I said earlier, trying to be a good husband, so waiting for the wife to be available for us to catch it together. But we all watched
Blaming
them.
wifey. You hear that, guys?
Yeah,
He's blaming wifey, man.
throwing under the bus. You know what I'm
That's
saying,
hilarious.
right? Man, dog. But no, yeah, like for sure. Um, we've been watching Daredevil, and that's been good.
Yes, it
That's
has
been
been.
good. I like that new suit.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a rough transition to see him go back to that red. I mean, I'm gonna like it, but if there's a way they could go back to that original Netflix Daredevil red suit, I love that way better than this new red muscly box looking suit that they got going on.
Right.
And the black suit that he has now, it kind of gives me that vibe,
Yeah.
that Netflix vibe.
Yeah. That's why I like this new black suit personally.
Yeah,
But then just the black, it makes it more. It adds a touch of fear. I think you know what I mean. Like I don't know, explain it. I mean, not that the red doesn't do it, but
it's all right, Brian. You can say it. It reminds you of Batman.
it reminds me of Batman. Thank you, thank you. I didn't want to say it, but I had Thank you for
Marvel.
taking it.
Marvel had to copy DC finally.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Have them hiding in the
Yeah,
shadow. It's better to have black than red. I'll tell you that much. But
yeah.
um, but I mean, no. But nonetheless, it's been a great episode, great show, and you know, I feel like really and truly right now, like I shared this post on IG, and it's like I told you earlier, it's Daredevil, it's Spider-Man, and it's Punisher right now.
Yes,
As
sir.
far as Marvel content is concerned, televised wise, and movies and stuff like that. So definitely excited to see that, and just can't wait for the Punisher season to come out.
Yep, that little what is it? It's like a series, like a little
Yeah,
special event or whatever that they're doing for him.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's gonna be nice. It looks like they're bringing Jessica Jones back too. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. Well, she's gonna be in this season of Daredevil.
Daredevil, right?
I
Okay, yeah, we
think
just haven't seen her yet.
I think we have one more episode of Daredevil. Uh,
Really?
or I could be no, no. I
No,
think
no
it's
way. 'Cause
Invincible.
we're only like 4 episodes in.
So then no, it's Invincible. That's one episode left. So yeah,
Yeah.
so then no. So I think season 5 is when she starts to come in.
Okay.
Episode 5. Sorry.
Episode 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I'm like, there's no way that they're on this.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
like, damn, that's
I'm
the
literally
shortest season I've ever seen.
I'm on the road 24/7, so I'm watching so many shows right now that I have to like keep like Euphoria started. I've been on Euphoria.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a whole nother like they just grab you and throw you into season 3 like there's no tomorrow. That's a good show. I recommend for a lot of people to watch. Zendaya, this is her month. Like I will fight for Zendaya any time of the week, man. I think, man, this is gonna be her year. She's gonna get an Oscar this year. I really
I
do think so.
mean, we'll see. I mean, I do hear a lot of good things about her performance in Euphoria.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, she's got a lot coming out. I mean, she's in Brand New Day, obviously.
Yep.
And
Dune.
Dune.
Yep.
Dune. That's actually, I keep saying this, man. That's the one movie, probably my most anticipated movie of the year.
Yeah.
Just because like I kind of know what to expect, but also know that there's more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You
man.
know what I mean? Because
100%.
it's like I know. Again, The Odyssey is another one of my movies.
Oof, and she's in that one too.
And she's in that one, dude. So she's cooking. She's doing.
And
stuff.
she just released one called The Drama with Batman.
Oh, with
what's
this
his
guy.
name?
That's right.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. That's right.
Yeah.
Have you
So,
seen that
like,
one yet? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it, but my sister has given me the tea leaves of it, so it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna go check it out. I'm a movie buff,
Of course.
so I check it all out. But I definitely gonna give it a spin. I have a screening next Monday for early premiere for Michael Jackson, so I'm gonna go see that on Monday before it comes out. So yeah, man, your boy's been busy, man. I'm excited. A lot of movies. We're back in theaters, boys. We're back in theaters.
Theaters is back, man.
So much fun, man. So much fun. I'm so excited, man.
No, hell yeah, dude. I actually low key, because I've been excited for Dune, I went back, or I can't say I went back, but I I figured I was gonna do the movies again, and I'm like, I never really gave that Doom Prophecy a chance.
I was about to say that I haven't watched it, man.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't give it a chance. Kind of just because like the way it started, kind of like I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it wasn't fair. And essentially, because it's like, you know, just something kind of just rubbed me the wrong way when it first started.
Mm.
And then I was like, like I said, I was like, you know what? Let me invest. Let me see if they're cooking or not.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, like there are some things that show sets up that makes things in the movie make sense. You know,
Oh.
so I will say that there is this uh one issue I have with it that I'm like, it kind of takes away from something that is done in the movie, but at the same time, if they spin it right, it can actually better actually
Enhance.
enhance or yeah, in a sense, like not that it better enhances or better extends, but they can make it work, is what I'll say. If they spin it right, what they do in the show,
Right.
I don't want to say exactly what it is because you haven't watched it yet. So
Right. 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 Right.
and
Right.
I still recommend to watch it. You know what I'm saying? It actually is still a good show. I'm actually like kind of bummed that it was only 6 episodes and that and
Oh, that's how I felt with that the Game of Thrones one that they did. That's like right after House of Dragons, but right before the original Game of Thrones. It's called the Night of the Seven Kingdoms or something like that.
oh, I thought, damn it, somebody told me that was actually way before even the House of the Dragon.
I from what I'm catching on and what I've seen like throughout the show, it's smack in the middle of those two.
Yeah.
And it's such a great show, but it's so short and it leaves you kind of like you're like, okay, like where are we going from here, you know?
Huh. Man,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, somebody told me it was like before even the House of the Dragon because I was like, my thing was like, I'm like, yeah, I fell off after season 1 with the House of the Dragon,
Yeah, same here.
so I didn't want to start watching this Seven Kingdoms one just yet because I didn't want to mess up the timeline of things. I like to watch things in chronological order,
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
this is you kind of don't need a timeline for this one. Like this one
Okay.
you could just jump right in, but you understand what's happening. Like you can kind of put pieces together where you're at just because
Okay.
of some of the stories that are happening in the background and what they talk
Mm.
about.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only reason I haven't watched it, but I still obviously it's on my watch list for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, that Doom Prophecy only had 6 episodes, long as 6 episodes. It's
Yeah.
damn near like movie each episode, damn near
Damn.
close enough, or short film almost. But like long short film, Um, but it's good. It's still an overall good story. I like the fact that a lot of it essentially isn't necessarily like heavily engulfed around Arrakis. It's more
Hmm.
involved around the like the Imperium city or main main planet. Jesus, there you go.
Gotcha.
Like, brain fart. Planet, yeah. But then there's also like segments where you get to see more of like I guess more of the Harkonnen world.
Okay.
They
So it's a lot of
really,
world building, is what you're saying.
yeah. The only thing is you
Okay.
don't see much of. Well, actually, no, I'm lying. You kind of do see. You do see actually even a little bit more of the Atreides home world.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it's taking place in a lot of different places, but it builds up the story between the Harkonnens and the Atreides family, backstory.
When does Dune 2 come out? Is that in December?
No, Dune. You mean Dune 3?
Or Dune 3, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, in December. Yeah.
Okay, because I think I'm gonna have to do because I resurrected, I should say, the Patreon, and I've been doing a lot of reactions. So
Ah,
I'm gonna send you a little link there. We're gonna have to go through some of these episodes, man, because I'm probably gonna
yeah.
start from the prophecy and then go to Dune 1, Dune 2, leading into the movie
Oh, I'm
that
down.
comes out in December, man.
I'm down, dude. Count me in. I mean, that's something I was even telling Fatal J for us to hop on because I know he's big on Dune, but he's definitely not big on like this Dune. Like he's
Yeah.
he's more of a fan of the like I guess the sci-fi
The old
panel,
school.
the old school
Yeah.
one, you know, and not the old school one because the old school one is like that movie that came out back in the '70s,
Yeah, yeah.
the late '60s, early '70s, something like that. It was rough. It was rough. Um, but no, yeah, I think the one he likes is like it was like late '90s, early 2000s version.
Okay.
And I will say like there were things in that show that I was like, and again, it's a show, so you can show more, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, it's hard for me to be super critical of like the movies because it's like, well, they're movies, man. So you got to really like condense
Condense a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
so not everything makes it. You're essentially trying to choose what are the best parts, in a sense that can still push the story forward.
Right.
And but he put me onto that, and like I said, it's got some good things about it. But like I told him in the chat, when I because he kept asking me if I finished watching it, and like I told him, I'm like, man, but truth be said, there's some things that the movie just does way better.
Oh
Like this
yeah.
new movie, or like like
Yeah.
new movies. I'm saying that just did do more justice to certain characters compared to what that show did,
Yeah.
uh, and the way they build them up. Now, granted, I don't know if that makes a difference to the books, right? So maybe again the way they portray certain characters in the show is more accurate to the books. And if so, well then that is what it is. I've never read the books, but
Right.
as far as like which visually, which one I could prefer, like story wise, the way they did certain characters, I gotta say like the movie, just did like Duncan especially. They do Duncan more justice in the movie, via via Jason Momoa's character rather than the way they did it in the show.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's another thing too, man. Like the cast is it like it's so like
oh yeah.
inviting when it comes to the movie side of things, man. It's like it's crazy, man. And you know, I know I've been hearing this, man. I had to let it out since you brought up the name, Jason Momoa, bro. Like I've been seeing a lot of slander on this guy, man. And to me, man, like I understand, he stayed, he did the Aquaman thing, he's doing Lobo, but let's not get it twisted. Like Jason Momoa puts ass in seats, man. Like he does. I understand. Like it's not what's the word I'm looking for. To me, he's not the Rock where you can put him in anything and he's gonna it's. But he has his own charisma that he brings, man. And I was rewatching Fast X, man, and what he did in that film, bro. Like I know it's a fast series and everybody's like tired of Vin Diesel talking about family and all this stuff, but man, like I didn't notice how much of like the chops of acting that he really brings in that, and it's subtle things like he plays the villain so well that I would love to just see him play that type of crazy maniac character in
Mm,
another film, like it like as a DC villain, like I would love to see him do something like that.
yeah.
Like he had very Joker-esque qualities in that film and how menacing and like different things that he was in there. It's just like
Which
I
movie
just feel
is this?
like what was that?
Which movie is this?
Fast X.
Fast
Um,
X.
yeah. If you haven't spun it in a while, like definitely just sit back, get
Yeah,
a big bucket of popcorn,
yeah.
and watch it because the new one that's coming out, it's the continuation of Fast X. So there's a part one and a part two,
Mm,
and it's pretty funny because it's the first time we have both Aquaman. We have the Aquaman from Smallville, and then which is Alan Richardson, and then we have Aquaman, Jason Momoa in the same film who team up to go take down the family. Um, but it's a cool ass movie, man. I had a great time with that film, and rewatching it, it just brought back all that fun.
Oh, you know what? That's why
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched
Okay,
it. It's
okay.
part of the
So
Fast
I
and
won't
Furious
say
franchise, right?
I won't say much. I kind of gave you a little sprinkle, a little tease on it, but definitely
Yeah.
it's a fun film. You can watch with wifey. You guys
Okay.
get a big bucket of popcorn,
Yeah.
close your minds off because there's gonna be some crazy stuff as a regular Fast franchise is.
Right.
But really, like when you do watch it, just focus on Momoa and just see how much fun he's having as that character, man. Like it's honestly amazing.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I gotta get that one. You know what it is I fell off on the Fast and the Furious franchise. Is what it is. It's I stopped watching after this guy died essentially because that last that
Yeah.
last film just was like too much for me. Um,
All you got to know is it's all about family and just watch
yeah,
it.
yeah, right, right. That's what it is. I did watch the one with Rock and Jason Statham.
Yeah,
That one I did watch just because I was like, you know what, let me see what they do here, you know. But essentially, you know, it's that same thing. It's just like it's no longer really about cars, you
yeah,
know. It's everything else with cars, you know what I'm saying? Like, but there's cool cars in it, you know, cool
yeah.
cars, cool stunts.
The
But
cool thing I would say about this one is that they touch from. So again, it's a two-parter, so we haven't seen everything yet, but it starts from that film, that first film, and they kind of like jump around the different islands that they've touched throughout the other movies. So it's kind of like almost going down memory lane because this is their last hurrah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um, Now obviously, yeah, I mean, and you know what? You're right though. I will say this, like you know, I'm all for like everyone having their like opinion on certain things, whatever else. Right?
Right.
That's fine enough, you know, and you already know how I feel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're not gonna catch me out here like just knocking on Momoa like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like that's just crazy. You know, like
The
it's
guy
like,
who
hey,
was handpicked by Zach
yeah, yeah,
to be
you know what I
Aquaman.
mean?
Like, come
Right.
on now.
So it's like I can't do that. Now, like, granted, will I say, you know, I know like last time Sil was here, you know, we talked about it a bit, like, you know, the Momoa, him being part of this film, the Supergirl film, will it make a difference, you know?
Hmm.
And that, you know, it could, but I'm like, but like, can it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because at the same time, like, the point I made, you know, was like every good movie that Momoa's in, he's not like the star of the movie. You know, like he's a
Hmm.
co-star to the movie. You know, so like that begs the question: if he's the main star, does that still have the same? Does it still have the same weight? Does it still have the same pull? Right? Like,
You're saying from when he was Aquaman when they hit the Billy on there.
yeah, yeah, essentially,
Yeah.
because that's the only. But even then, when you think about that movie, like, you know, he still had great cast like stars around him. You know what I
Around
mean?
him, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Aquaman
so
2 as well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like when you have the guy who plays Mantis, or the guy who plays, you know, I can't, you know, remember their names now, but Buddy who plays his brother, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Taika Waititi, and then you had that other dude, yeah,
I think his name is like something Patrick or Patrick
yeah.
something,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Willis or something, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He
you
does all
know,
the scary movies. He does all the
right?
scary
You know,
movies.
and
That's how I know.
again, like lover and hater, lover or hater, but even Go Girl that plays Mira, like
Yeah, yeah.
same thing. She at
Amber
the
Turd, I
time,
mean her.
yeah, even before that debacle is all I'm saying. She still had a name,
Yeah.
right? So it's like it's hard to. And then once that, you know, stain came, pun intended,
Yeah.
Aquaman 2 doesn't do as well, right? So, uh, but all that to say that, you know, everything he's done that's been a success, he's matched with the star power surrounding him. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
so
right.
in this movie, it looks like he is the star, right? Like, you know, he's the main guy, like the
Which is crazy because and Sil touched on this on I saw it on Instagram. I had commented
yeah,
on it where he talks about how he was saying about the whole general audiences, he gave them too much credit knowing who Lobo was. And when I saw that, it made me think, is like, people aren't going to see this film to see Lobo. they're going to see this film because Momoa is playing a character like Lobo because they don't know Lobo, you know.
Right. Well, that's that,
So
and that's essentially true. That's the reason why I presented again that question is that
yeah,
does Momoa actually have the pool we think he does? You know,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
again, it's if that's the truth, which I agree with you, right? Like not general audiences do not know Lobo.
yeah. They
Us
just think
as
it's a guy on a
fans,
bike.
fans of DC geeks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We know who Lobo is, and we are dying to see that character, for a while, done right, right? So done right and looked right, right? Like
hmm,
um because like they did a shot at it in that Krypton show, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
he was okay there, it's like
But not many, it's like to your point, not many people saw Krypton,
but
and
not
and
exactly not many people
it was on a
know.
platform where not many people, went on and see it with
Right, wasn't it
sci-fi.
like on the Sci-Fi Channel?
Yeah, on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like,
It was like
why? That's
crazy. I mean,
crazy.
I kind of get it, but at the same time, like, ugh, you know.
Yeah,
But anyways, all that to say that us, we know who Lobo is. The general audience doesn't. Yeah, it's more about Momoa at that point. But again, that's where my question is like, but does Momoa really have that star power we think he does? Like I
right.
said, every movie that you can name or even show that he's been in that's famous, it's not famous because of him. It's famous because of him and everyone else, right? It's
Yeah,
a conglomerate of stars, you know what I'm saying, that accompany him that sell the movie, or the movie itself, like also people are interested in whatever,
hmm,
uh Aquaman for sure is it's like I said, it's he is the main character, but there are other actors that are well known.
yeah,
uh and on top of that, I think it was still kind of riding the buzz of what the DC extended universe was at the time,
yeah,
what Zach had laid out, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of following that momentum, I think, and
yeah,
so just a lot of factors into that one for sure. And it was the first of its kind. I always say that to people. It's like I think everybody was just kind of intrigued by the creativity and the thought process of what this world looks like, right? Like this was
yeah,
the Star Wars of the ocean, so to speak, right? Like Star Wars was what it was back then, because it's like,
yeah,
what is space like, right? Like what does intergalactic, the imagination, like everybody kind of intrigued and interested, like what is this, And I feel like this had that too, like what is Atlantis in the ocean,
yeah. No, definitely.
So, but but yeah, man, again, I'm interested to see, I guess, if he alone connect, because I think really that is really what's driving the movie, if I'm be honest. As
Yeah, I
far as,
mean, they had him pull up in the Lobo motorcycle on CinemaCon.
right.
Like, and this is a Supergirl film, guys, so it's like they're going real all out on, you know,
They're
and,
playing the ace, that he is the
yeah.
ace of that deck, like that's just the reality.
I mean,
You
at
know,
this point, man. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. At this point, they did. I will say, shout out to Clayface. It did say Clayface looked pretty decent, but
oh yeah, okay.
I'm just riding to till Paramount signs that deal off and we start getting some
Yeah.
new stuff,
Hey,
bro.
yeah,
That's it,
essentially,
bro.
hey, essentially, this is all it is.
You feel me? Like at this point, bro. Like if you mad, go be mad somewhere else, bro. Because like it is what
Right,
it is at this point. You feel me?
right,
Like it
right.
is what it is. Like just enjoy the ride. Gun, you're gonna get your trilogy film, and let's just move it on out. You know, moving on up.
Moving on up to the side.
You know,
Finally got a piece of the pie.
and honestly, really seeing the timetable of how this is working out. I think this is why, even though he has, as of late, been very vocal, if you want to say, on Twitter, but this is the last couple months to a year. This is the quietest I've ever seen Gunn really not touch on a lot of things, right?
Right.
And with this whole resurrection, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and what they're doing over there in Marvel, you really think Kevin Feige's like, hey, yo, look, we want to bring back the Guardians of the Galaxy. We need you. Come over here, take over. You really think that those conversations aren't happening? And then
Right.
if Gunn still wants to be with DC, I'm sticking to what I said on this show last time I was here. I
Right.
really do think that Gunn will stay in a capacity of comic books, because
Mm.
that is one thing I will say, is that ever since he has come into DC, the comic book like ratings and everything has gone up. His creativity when it comes to just intertwining himself with comic books, it has been good. And I will stand on that. I will say that. And not to say
Well,
I'm not giving
you,
him
so
all the
you
credit,
okay? I
just
was gonna say
the
you think I'm like I don't know, bro. I think whoever was at the helm of DC was gonna look good because the people that they just got working on the comics right now are killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I don't mean the like the creation of the comics. What I mean is the implication of like he really went out of his way since he's been here. That's probably the
mm,
one thing I will say that as a DC fan I have enjoyed about Gunn.
mm,
And it's not much that I've enjoyed so far, but this I will say is that how he's implemented like having people go out and see these different books that like I wouldn't even have thought to read, and I'll just go read it and be like, oh wow, this is interesting. Like it's opening up my mind and my world. So now,
mm,
even me, I'm a geek, but then you go to like a general audience who sees something like that and reads a book they never read before in the DC comics. It's opening up that world not only in the universe but in our minds as DC fans. So
right.
that to me is like that's always a plus. I always think like read the comic books, like that is one of the treasures I had as a kid growing up. Many of us did that. It just it's always good to be informed within life or whatever. But now it's like we have a opportunity with Paramount taking over. They're trying to pump this money into all these creations. It's like DC is the only universe when it comes to DC and Marvel that they have the rights to all their characters, that they can
Mm,
really go as an open slate. So that to me is something that's like I do commend that about Gunn, but not the whole like absolute. Obviously, I do not credit Gunn for that. Like all the other great storylines that we got going on right now, like just the fact that he's talking about it, I think that's big. That
mm.
it's kind of crazy that maybe, and this is gonna sound nuts to me to say, so I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry,
No,
but
you're good.
uh, I think Feige should start taking some of those notes when it comes to promoting Marvel comics, because I feel like Marvel comics are so under right now, and maybe that's just because I'm biased and I'm a DC fan. But there's only one that I really been reading lately, and that's the Ultimate lines. Like Ultimate Spider-Man has been one of my favorites, just because of the
Mm,
whole twist on the storyline. But that's not original like Marvel stories.
right,
Um, whereas with DC, yeah, we do have Absolute, but even the original stuff they're starting to get revamped and remade and stuff like that, to where it's like
right.
it's bringing me back to that childhood reading a comic
Right.
book.
No, for
So
sure. No, I like I said, to me, DC's just been killing it. Come comics, right? That's
right,
why, like, I'm knocking the films and the TV shows and all that. But man, they're no one's touching them on the comics. Period.
yeah,
Period. And like you're right. It's funny. I didn't really think about the Marvel aspect of it, comic book wise. Not to say that they haven't had some decent comics,
right. They
recently,
had a
but
couple runs here and there.
had a couple runs, like probably like last year, maybe the year before that were pretty good. But I haven't seen anything or heard anything since, and that's that I'm surrounded by a lot of Marvel guys, that really are more Marvel than DC, that they read all Marvel comics, and I haven't heard anything from them. The last person I heard around my circle talk about Spider-Man or Marvel comics was a Spider-Man-ish like series he's reading right now. And
Yeah,
even that I'm not sure if it's like new or not. You know what I'm saying? Like so yeah, all that to say, like I don't, you know, for all the Marvel fans I have around me, nobody's talking about the comics.
right. And to call a spade, DC has made money in comics, and that's happened under the tenure of Gunn. So as Paramount, they're business people. If he really does want to stay, that's where you make that line for him. Be like, all right, cool, yeah, you
True,
can.
but see, that's the thing. I'm not sure Gunn has anything to do with that because I'm not even sure DC Studios is a overall umbrella over everything DC. I think that's just relative to DC concerning like live entertainment.
Right.
Um, in the same way that Marvel Studios is that for well Fog, that just covers,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
but
saying? It's not like Foggy has anything to do with the comics. You
right,
know what I mean? So
right,
I'm not
right.
so sure credit is given to either of those guys, whether they, what I'm saying, like it's not
I say
Gunn's fault.
since
Comics aren't doing well on Marvel's side as much as I don't think it's Gunn's great job, of
yeah, yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, because I don't
But
think.
that's why I'm saying like I don't mean like the creative side of making the comics. I mean more of promoting it and as a head, he's co-head, but
Mhm.
as a head of a studio, whether it's Marvel or DC, that's still he's still bringing that
What,
the eyes to it, that
what
that 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 enough with him talking about it, even though they are doing so good, that's still bringing general audiences to go read those books is where I'm coming at.
I feel, I mean, you might be right about that. I- you know, I guess I'm not following Gunn enough to see him actually promote comics other than the ones that he tries to say are relative to his uh movies he's putting out there and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Or like the shows like that he's like, whatever, like the DC's trying to, like, I guess, format
Yeah,
for
like the
his.
first crypto comic and all
Yeah,
that
you know what I'm saying?
stuff.
So, like, outside of that, I don't see him promoting comics, but I could be wrong. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even sure like the success of the comics right now for DC have anything to
Well,
do with him, but I could be
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. I
I don't
don't.
see.
Again, I don't want to take anything away from the creators. Scott Snyder and all that. I don't want to take anything away from them. They are killing it right now. Like everything that
Mhm.
they're creating is amazing. But I'm saying like where I'm just coming from is just the standpoint of if he were to want to stay in this, because I to be honest, I'm saying all this, but I don't see Gunn staying in DC. I don't. I don't.
No, yeah,
I
I
see him
agree.
100% going back to Marvel and making Marvel films. I think the pressure, not the pressure, but the having too much control is getting to him.
Mm,
I think it's coming to the fact where he just doesn't want to do it anymore
right.
because you don't feel that same push that he had before.
Well, for sure. I'm sure the whole Paramount deal really, like, had him double thinking, like, or uh thinking twice now about really what the future is looking like for him. Where, like, maybe it
Right.
seemed like there was a time he had time to actually flush out whatever he thought he was gonna do. Um, that's one aspect. And yeah, just again, then also just numbers don't lie. You got to just consider even the
100%.
like the feedback and what you're seeing, even with what you are putting out there. It's not the greatest. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you showed 100% successful projections for your content. So um, I do wonder if that does. Um, yeah, again, like I think that plays a part. Between that and the Paramount now on board and into acquiring DC, and that's looking like that's going forward full steam ahead.
Oh
Nothing
yeah,
stopping
yeah,
that
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
It might close early, and if that's the case, then yeah, the
We
writing's
might
on
hear
the
something
wall.
next week.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, matter of fact, yeah, they're right. The shareholders vote thing literally next week.
Yeah.
This is coming to an end pretty quickly. Like it's a no. I don't see this going any other way. And again, like, when you knowing that is the case, it's going to be Paramount. It's going to be, you know, the Saudis. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that connection, Zack Snyder. And look, just to even share this, because I thought this was great. Like, I'm sure, and I'm sure you've seen this one already. But the last post he posted,
Oh yeah.
this,
The last. Oh yeah.
come on, like
Come
these
on now.
shots are just
Yeah, man.
so amazing. Like, and right now, this probably doesn't even do it justice, to be honest with you. But if anybody wants to see this, like, fully just flushed out, like, bigger aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
actually watch it off your phone. I would even say like, and it looks
Yeah,
even.
he made some good phone content. Like that's that 916
Yep.
usually use that for like reels or you know, TikTok stuff.
Right. I was like, why is it silent? There you go. And he's got the right music for it.
Yeah.
Look at those shots, bro. It's just, like I have
Nuts.
this I have this friend of mine, and you know he's not big on DC. And I
Grew
think,
up in Kansas, General.
look at
Yeah, and the way it ended too. I grew up in Kansas, you know.
the homie right there. The homie.
Yes, sir.
That's how I was like, yo, he's got to be related to Dirk.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Like, I got. But you know, like I said, it's just looking at all those shots, and I'm like, look, if you're a photographer, videographer, and that's the thing, the guy I was talking to.
Oh yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream right there.
It's like, if that's really what you're into, you should be taking notes from Zack Snyder. If you're a videographer, a photographer, then Zack Snyder's the guy you want to actually study. You know,
Yeah.
at least one of the guys. You know, you can't be out here saying you're into photography and videography, and somehow you have some sort of chip on your shoulder against Zack. That can't be. That just can't be. You know?
I hope we get to a point where it's not cool to hate on Zach anymore, because I feel like I feel like that is where we're at right now. It's like, oh,
Right.
like I'm talking about people who, which is crazy to me, who have not even seen Man of Steel, are just out here, just enjoy, any of Zach's projects are just out here, you know, crapping on him just because that's the next hip thing. That's what's gonna get you the next 10,000 likes on your thing when you
Mhm.
downplay. And it's just like, I really hope this new deal, the new movement, it just shakes things up, man, and
Yeah.
let's start fresh, you know.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And that's what I'm hoping, man. And I feel like that's what's in the future for us. You
What's
know,
good, Mr. J?
yeah, we got Mr. J in the chat. What's going on, brother? What's going on? Oh, we got Sean Franklin in the chat as well. What's up? What's going on, brother? Thank you for sliding through. You know, that's why I'm like, and even when I talk to him, I'm like, it's easy for me to, you know, because he was big on the Marvel stuff. He's up like this. He is a younger kid too, right? So
Yeah,
he came up like, to him, it's Marvel because that's essentially what he grew up on, right? Like, his, you know, the height of his like maybe younger kid age to teenager age, it was the MCU, right? That's the experience he has, right? And then the Dark Knight.
what a way to live, man.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, no, because then honestly, bro, I feel like where I'm at in age, I feel like,
You got the best of both worlds,
yeah.
and I'm with you on that. I'm
You know
not
what I mean?
I'm that '95 kid, so I got the, you know, I
Yeah.
grew up watching Christopher Reeve, but then now it's like, you know, I got it all. I got it all,
You know
man.
what I mean? Like, I got a good scope of things here, you know. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, so like, it's like, you know, obviously, when you get into these discussions with guys that are for sure Marvel fans that just awkwardly hate on Zach,
no reason.
it's easy for me to just start dunking on y'all guys, you know what I'm saying, and just start, you know, debunking everything you think is true, you know what I mean, and then it's easy for me to just show you the plagiarism within Marvel and how they just bit the hell off of like a lot of what Zach was going to do and what he did do, right? And how they changed course completely because of what DC was doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
AKA Zach, right? And the storyline that they were going with. It's so easy to do these things and kind of just even point out that, like, you know, Marvel, for most part of its catalog, it's cookie cutter stuff. It's copy and paste. Everything's the same. Nothing really stands out from anything else. It's easy to do that because it's just the truth. But then when I ask, you can ask them and like, hey, well, okay, well, what is it you don't like? And their answers are always so like,
They can't give you the definitive answer.
They can't give you the definitive answer other than what they've already heard. And it was funny to even talk to him about it because he was all like, man, I don't remember, but I saw this video. And I'm like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're watching the opinions of someone else who you don't know if they already have their own biases, you know. And
Yeah.
then I made sure to end the conversation, letting them know, like, look, man, here's the reality. I don't hate Marvel. I don't hate the MCU. I enjoyed a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? While I was in theaters, I'd go watch them. I was there. I was like, I
Yeah.
was there for the entertainment. I'm entertained by a lot of the stuff that Marvel did. Although I will say, after Endgame, a lot of it was pretty much trash, other than Sony's Spider-Man.
Oh no, it's just not probably. It was
No, right.
Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought I was gonna run my head into a freaking wall.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But but the reality is that I'm not hating on Marvel. And just since you came as Zach and DC, it's just funny to then just do it right back to you. But
Yeah.
truthfully, I don't care that Marvel is the way it does. Like, I'll go watch a Marvel movie, I'll be entertained. But when I want something more in depth, more to the eye, more than what meets the eye, more content, more or not content, more substance. I'm watching DC. It's
Yeah.
Dark Knight, it's Man of Steel, it's BVS, it's all those movies. And that's what I want DC to go back to. Set yourself apart. I was like, the way I still stay on this. The DC and Marvel at its best is when they are what they are, right?
Yeah.
Let Marvel be the Drake of the movie, all entertainment industry stuff, whatever. Let them do all that. Although I will say, right now they are learning their lesson and diversifying their portfolio. That's why you're seeing shows like Daredevil run the way they're running. That's why they're bringing characters like Punisher. They really need to fix what they did with Moon Knight and actually make the character what he's supposed to be. Is what they should do. Fix that error. But again, Daredevil, Punisher, Wolverine and versus Deadpool. Those movies were what they were because they realized, like, we can't just be all lovey kitty, ha ha ha. You know what I'm saying? Like, some characters just don't call for that. Like, you're not supposed to do that. So again, they're learning their lesson, and it's again, DC has characters that are ha-has, whatever not, but it's not every character, and for sure
a good way of showmanship on that when it came to DC, which a lot of, for some reason, man, like the whole thing of like, oh, that looks like a CW show. For what it was at that time, growing up, I grew up watching Smallville and all that stuff, and then with having Smallville, that's what engaged the whole Arrowverse and everything, and like, for what that was, we got to see so many different characters, serious, funny, and then intertwine them together. Like, they originally were the first Avengers that came together before we got Avengers, man.
No, that's 100% right. That's a good analogy there. I mean, they started it off with Arrow. That was very much like a Dark Knight, Nolan spin-off of Arrow, right? Very dark, very, but it made it. I like that. I like that for that character, the way they did everything. I mean, they took a lot of Batman villains, but okay,
right.
But apart from that, then when they introduced Flash, more lighthearted, more funny, more silly,
which is crazy because they introduced him in the second season of Arrow, and then he spun off to his own show. And then from there, you had, I think it was season 2, episode 1. They introduced Supergirl in that show and then spun her off, and it was just like a trickle effect. And I'm like, that's how you build a universe, man.
And again, a perfect way of different characters bring different elements. Not every character has to be this,
right?
But here's the thing. Now go to something like let's to even just keep it on the cinematic universe. Personally, that's why I like what Zack Snyder was doing. Batman is who he is. Aquaman is who he is. Wonder Woman is who she is. Cyborg is, what I'm saying? Like these, but guess what? The lighthearted part of the film was Flash. You know what I'm saying? Like, which was more accurate to, again, even the animated series, right? Like, you're talking about a cartoon that, it's essentially for kids, but even they knew how to differentiate certain characters from other characters that are more serious, more mature in stature. And then you had the Wally West Flash that was just goofy, You know,
And it's crazy you touch on that because not many people have said this. I mean, they obviously say this about Azra and Zach's story on how like he is the heart of the team. Many people forget about the Justice Lord episode. They all went evil
yeah,
because Flash died.
because of Flash.
And when Flash from this other universe, you know, that you see from the show goes and he goes to Batman, who's pretty much Owlman in that universe, but you know he's evil. They're taking control of the government, and
Yeah,
he asks them, he's like, how can you guys do this?
right,
Batman looks at him and tells him straight up, "We lost the heart of the team. You
right,
died, and that changed everything, man." Like
right.
so, yeah,
And again, that's why kudos to Zach. You know, a lot of his inspiration comes from the animated series. I
hundred
love seeing
percent.
those clips where they
Yeah,
take.
the
Yeah, it's like,
I've been
and
actually
it's
doing a rewatch of the original Justice League, man.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's so good, bro. So
oh
so ahead of his time, man.
yeah, oh yeah. No, I just finished watching that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I always from time to time will go back and rewatch it, man.
Right.
Too good not to. And again, even like for it being a cartoon, it's pretty. It's got some like
Yeah.
fingers in there, and that are like as a kid you don't know what they're talking about because you're just a kid, you know. And
But that's even with the original Batman the animated series before they changed the shape and how it looked in like season 3 when they
Mhm,
brought in Nightwing and all that. But that
mhm,
old school like grimy look
mhm,
with the shaded drawings, like it was gritty. It was kind of scary, which is why I like the Cape Crusader a lot.
mhm,
I would
mhm,
love to see Superman in that kind of setting, and that there was like a period piece. I guess that was like the early like 70s or something like that.
mhm,
I've always loved even Batman by Gaslight. I've always loved that
mhm,
type of era, and I would love to see a Superman in that because that to me growing up, that was what George Reeves, Christopher Reeves. I didn't grow up in those times, but
right.
that was the first thing my dad introduced me to when it came to Superman. And it's
Mm,
like to see that in cartoon form. I think that would be something I would love to see Zach do something like that, kind of give it that old school Watchmen feel. You
mm.
know, I think that would be
Yeah,
some
I feel
crazy
like the
stuff.
closest we got to something like that was probably in the Arrowverse.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know if it was like one of those like Legends of Tomorrow episodes, or
yeah,
there was
yeah.
like a time thing there where like, or like a different world where it was very much that kind of aesthetic. The it
The
not
Noah.
necessarily like not like necessarily like a gaslight type aesthetic. What is that called? There's like a certain word for that. Neo Gothic? No.
Noir, ain't it?
Yeah, like a noir
Yeah.
Gothic type aesthetic, or I feel like there's
Yeah,
another word.
yeah. I think they're actually, which I gotta check when exactly it
Steampunk, like a
is.
steampunk, noir punk, or there's like a steampunk. I think it's like, I don't know, something like that. I forget the word.
Yeah, the like Sin City was that kind of
Yeah,
Sin City feel. The Nicolas Cage Spider-Man show is coming out, I believe in
a spider noir. Yeah,
Spider Noir. I think that's what in May, something like that.
yeah.
That's
I think it's in May. Yeah, I think it is in May. I think you're right.
yeah, that's one to where it's like I'm watching it in black and white. Definitely, like
Oh,
that
yeah,
show's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
great.
Yeah, they're giving you the option, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I will say that that's cool of them to do that. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I mean, I'm gonna watch them both. You know,
Yeah, right.
just to keep that up, I guess. Like, I want to see what the difference is. You know, but yeah, watching them in both for sure. But yeah, man, all that to say again, it's like uh they need to they need to let DC get back to the roots of like what allowed it to succeed. And for me, I feel like what it was is that it was just different. It was just different,
Hmm.
in a market, an industry that's, it's a lot of saturation going on. Like a lot of it is all the same. So it's these movies that stand out that I think make the difference. And especially when you're talking about genres specifically, you know, when you're talking about genres specifically, even that matters. Like standing apart from the rest.
Yeah.
That's the reason why personally I think The Boys is as successful as it is, or even Invincible, right? Like those things are successful because they're technically within the realm of comic book, but they're different. right? They're not
Yeah.
campy. They're not cringy. They're not funny. They're not lighthearted. It's like, no, we're just going right into the like essentially Zack Snyder style, format. If we're gonna keep that a buck, right? Because even when you look at a lot of those fight sequences in Invincible, man, a
Yeah.
lot of them, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
you haven't caught up yet. Well,
Yeah.
spoiler, not really
Yeah.
spoiler. It's not a spoiler, but it's
Yeah.
there's a certain person you fight in this last episode, right? Again,
Uh,
I'm not gonna say no names,
don't tell me.
but there's a part, right, where he's standing there
Uh-huh.
and there's a person coming at him full speed, bro, and he does the freaking Henry Cavill resurrection like stare and like step back, and it just totally misses him like this, and he just looks at him, and oh dude, like when I saw that I got goosebumps. I was like, oh my goodness, so good, bro, so good.
Oh
Yeah, you
man,
gotta catch up, bro. I'm
I
just
gotta catch
sprinkling
up.
it in for you.
Right. Yeah. You know what? Hey, the wife might just have to, watch it on her own time. Oh man, but yeah, man. All that to say that look, Paramount needs to restore the Snyderverse. I think that'll be the best thing that they can do for DC, the DC brand cinematically. Um, and stop listening. Stop listening to Marvel fans tell you what DC needs to do.
Yeah,
Period. And I feel like that's the problem since day one. You guys were
yeah,
listening and watching what Marvel was doing. You thought that their bag was your bag, and that your bag was their and you that was never the case. Your bag, people. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, obviously the mix is within the general audience, right? Like obviously there were people who went to go see Dark Knight that also went to see maybe what was it, Avengers at the time, maybe, or maybe Iron Man. I don't know. Whatever the movie,
I believe it was Iron Man.
right? Whatever the movie, Marvel
Yeah,
movie was at the time, right?
whatever it was. Yeah.
But make no mistake, like whatever the success of Dark Knight was, it was because of DC fans and general audiences appreciating you doing something different from what Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the same way that was Marvel's success. I think that's that's why Man of Steel was as successful as it was. Like BVS was as successful as it was. It could have been more successful had they not taken out of theaters earlier, had they actually marketed it correctly. That would have honestly, in my opinion, made $1 billion. But either way, just restore the Snyderverse. And all that to say on that note, right? Because I don't want to. I know you got to head out. You can't be long, so I want to go ahead and just transition to the next piece of the conversation. So I'll just take the opportunity now to say, like, obviously, BVS by far is, in my opinion, one of the best comic book movies out there.
Oh, 100%, man.
It's just no doubt about it. Which is funny to just see a lot of people still like trying. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't. I'll never understand it.
To me, it's the first time ever in history of let's keep it on DC level.
Yeah.
The first time ever in DC history,
right,
that we see the symbol of the Bat and the Man of Steel together in live action. Not a cartoon, not a Batman animated series. No. This is the first time we see them both standing side by side together in live action. And that alone gives it all the kudos that it needs to be one of the best, if not the best, comic book movies ever. To me, the best comic book movie ever.
Right.
Hands down.
No, hands down. And I think there's a reason for it though, right? It's what it holds, and it's, I mean, because like as a comic book fan, right? You're looking, obviously us, right? Frank Miller, Dark Knight, Returns.
Yeah.
Fans, we hear BVS, you saw Batman versus Superman. You see Batman in the armored suit, which obviously, again, still different from the comics, right? The comics is the next suit, which it's an important detail, but we're not getting into that kind of specifics here.
Because that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole. That I would love to.
Angle. That's a whole other angle.
Yeah.
but as comic book fans, obviously that's what we were looking at, right? Like it's like, yo, like this is the Dark Knight Returns on the screen, like
Yeah.
Batman and Superman going head to head, like on the big screen, like in the armored suit, like it was that for us, it was that Dark Knight Returns. Yo, if this is to see this on the screen, this is going to be crazy. And even just as a general audience fan, I think there was an appeal there, like
Yeah.
Batman, Superman. Like who would have thought of this? Like since when? Awkward. You know what was weird? I remember there being some old heads that actually didn't like that idea. Like I remember I was at work and I had a few like old head coworkers that like Batman shouldn't be fighting Superman. They're friends. I'm like,
Did you not?
bro,
Did you not read the comic?
yeah, and that's what I was saying, like, bro, like, hold on, chill out. You've never read the comics. This isn't the first time this actually happens. This is the first time on the screen, on the big screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you're late, so maybe you're late to this. But the reality is, Batman and Superman actually go to head quite a couple times.
What's crazy is that everyone thinks, oh, they just work together and then they fall. No, like the way Superman and Batman's relationship became what it became is because they started almost like a Goku and Vegeta. They started fighting first. They were enemies to each other first. One wanted to take down the other. Like that's just how their relationship started. And then they realized, oh, we're on the same side.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You
look,
know?
even the animated series played on this.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Anybody who actually watched the Superman animated series, you would know that they actually weren't like friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had that VHS, man. I had that thing on spin, bro.
I mean, I got that now. I just whatever, go to HBO Max.
Yeah, go to Max now. But yeah, I used to have it.
100% right. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the idea of Bruce Wayne Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent and Batman and Superman always get along. Like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like I remember saying that. But other than that, like I said, I felt like the overall consensus was like people were excited to see, curious to see, like what is this? How do you do this? Right. Now that being said, you go watch this movie. It's not even just that on a comic book level we know what we're expecting Dark Knight Returns aesthetic wise, because obviously you go watch the movie, it's not the Dark Knight Returns, it's still Zack Snyder's vision, right?
Yeah.
If of the story being told. And it's not even just that like you're getting Batman versus Superman. It's the story. It's the story that's being told, which again is why I'm like, I can never ever say or agree with any fool out there, and that's what you are, a fool.
Yeah.
Says like, Superman or Snyder has great visuals, but his storytelling sucks. And it's like, that's just crazy because first and foremost, Zack Snyder also didn't just write these stories on his own. You're talking about David S. Goyer and who's the other? Chris Terrio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as the writers. So, you're goofy for trying to even say something like that.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're saying these guys that are writers aren't good story writers. So you're the idiot. Just to keep that a buck. But the story that's told, man, it's
the opening sequence of let's say we talked about Man of Steel, right? But now we're on this BVS note. So with Man of Steel, we had the end of Krypton.
Yeah.
And then here it's almost like we as humans looking at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like that was the start of our end of just it being the human race. It almost was like the start and the beginning of Earth allowing it to allow these aliens to be a part of the regime almost of that world.
Right.
With you had Superman fighting Zod and all this other stuff, and that just opened the can of worms of the metahumans and all this other stuff, Doomsday and everything. And that it was almost like how you're just throwing in, and to your point with the storyline of it literally continuing off of where we left off, like expanding that world of like there was other things happening in the background while as us we're on the roller coaster ride of Superman fighting through the city of Metropolis. But really we forget that there's a whole nother city ride over here going on with Ben Affleck trying to save everyone as Bruce, you know. Like
Bro.
it's pretty cool, man. It's crazy, it's nuts.
No, it is. No, it is. And actually, almost forgot to even mention this the last time we actually talked about Man of Steel, and so it's worth mentioning this, right? Because initially, the last discussion we had, and what I hope to do here for us also is like just pointing out the theological notions that exist within this framework of the story that is presented to us in this story, that very much have things that mirror or are reflective of that which is in Scripture. You know, the film itself, I feel, is has a lot of tones that essentially are dealing with what's called, and I might be butchering the way to say this. I want to say theodicy or theodicy, right? Which is essentially, simplest way I could break that down, you know, without actually finding the definition, is it's the idea of man battling with the idea of God being good when there's evil that still exists. How can that be, right? That's what the idea of theodicy is. It's us grappling with this idea of how can God be good when there's evil, when he allows evil to exist in the world, right? When it's still manifested.
I believe Lex in that film says something about to
No,
that
well,
point, right?
that's the thing. That's what's crazy. That's so. But essentially, now hold on. Before I go forward, hold on.
Yeah.
You said something though that's crucial here, but all that to say that in Man of Steel, right? Again, this sucks that I didn't have my notes, but when I was looking at my notes, I realized like, I didn't say this about this. When Zoro, yeah, his father's name Zoro, no, Jor-El. When his father Jor-El, right, is he's about to escape, right, the ship, right, and go back to Earth to save Lois, right? You can save them, you can save all of them, but that whole thing, right? He gives him that speech of he wants he reasserts the purpose, right? Like you are meant to be a bridge between two people, right?
Yep.
And that right there is it's key, because again, when we're talking about the archetype of Superman being that of, Jesus Christ, the Savior, right? The Savior figure, the Messiah figure, right? So he tells him, you're meant to be a bridge between two peoples, and essentially that's what Jesus is also, right? Jesus is the bridge between us and God, right? He's the mediator between us and God. Like Jesus is the way to the Father, right? So essentially that's right, because the Kryptonians, right, are of heaven, like heavenly, right? Like that again, it's about angles, it's perception, views, right?
Yeah.
So Superman is the bridge between us humans and the Kryptonians, right? Which is Jesus is the bridge between us and heaven. You know what I'm saying? So again, when you're looking at the archetype of, not Superman obviously as a character on its own, but especially what was used in this movies, in these movies that Zach was pushing forward, and why, I said, like, it's funny, that essentially it's like Zach wrote the Gospels, but via the vehicle of these DC characters, right? Because now, like you said, you get to BVS, and the way it starts, and I just love that he does this in all his films, like regarding the DC continuity he was creating, and that's that they all start somewhere where the story kind of left off in the previous film, right? Like, so obviously, like the Battle of Metropolis isn't the last scene in Man of Steel. There's something that happens after, right? There's a couple of things that happen after, right? And not to get into the details of that, but same thing with so when you get to BVS, right, and it starts with the Battle of Metropolis, which isn't the way Man of Steel ends, but it's essentially the end of Man of Steel in a way. But it does give us the angle of um of Bruce Wayne. But what you said was key, right? And I don't know if you remember this. I said there's something I'm going to expound on later because I don't want to just crack that code now for us.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, but I was like, but I'll get to it later, right? And that's that. And you said it. It's funny that Man of Steel starts with the destruction of Krypton.
Yeah.
Things coming down, something dying, right? When you get to BVS, same thing. It starts with this. Well, actually, there's two things that die, right? The death sequence actually, in it starts off with the Batman storyline or origin, right?
Yeah.
Death of the Waynes. Something dies. Something dies. The parents die, right? The same way that they died in Man of Steel, right? Jor-El dies, Laura dies. Then we go into the movie. In this film, the Waynes die. Thomas and Martha, they die, right? And then we go into the movie. But I still like the idea of the sequence also of the Metropolis, the destruction of Metropolis. It is mirroring that almost of the destruction of Krypton. So it's a slightly shift, right? Where like it's first the destruction of Krypton, then the death of the parents. In this one, it's the death of the parents and the destruction of Metropolis. But then you get to BVS, and again, it's the death thing is what I'm focusing on here, right? Or not BVS, I'm sorry. Yeah, BVS. Well, BVS is what we're focusing, but I'll say this just to kind of solidify what I'm saying. When you get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, it starts with the death of Superman, right?
Yeah.
Visually, what I like about what he's doing here is that it's the way I interpret it is it's essentially using something that Christ says, right? And that's that the death of the old has to take place so that the life of the new can begin, right? So that's what's crazy about how these movies start. It starts with death, but then brings out this whole story that follows, right? Like something has to die in order for something new to begin, right? So the death of the parents bring out the new life in Clark, right? Like what goes forward for him going forward, right?
Yeah.
The death of the Waynes are what dictates this new life now going forward for Bruce, and technically the world around it, right? Because whatever. And then same thing with the Metropolis thing, right? The death of those in Metropolis bring forth a new life of how things are going to be going forward. And then you go to Justice League, same thing. The death of Superman brings out this new life of something occurring, of a story that's going to going forward. That to me is not just, it's not a coincidence, right? Like I think he does this on purpose. It's by design. It's touching on that, again, that idea of the death of the old brings life to the new, and so again, good. I'm glad that you saw that they're like this comparison. There's something there between the death or the destruction of Krypton to the destruction of Metropolis, or again, then if you look even more, the death of the parents, the death of Superman. There's death. It starts with death, but death brings life, right? Like if you believe, that's essentially the truth, right? Something
life and growth in a sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Right. That's exactly right. So, or even more so, like the sacrifice of something can bring forth something good.
That's it, right there. Yeah.
That's how all these movies start. They all start with a sacrifice, right? Jor-El and Martha sacrificed their lives for the life of their son. Same thing in BVS. Martha and Thomas and Martha, they sacrificed their lives for the life of their son. Same thing for
Jor-El and Laura.
Yeah, same thing with Jor-El and Laura. So it's about that sacrifice. But
and a lot of it too, you could also say with that, Jonathan Kent sacrificing himself for the protection of his son.
Oh, for sure. No, that's 100%. I touch on that with even with Sil and the episode I did with for Father's Day, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Highlighting the fathers that display that you know that lesson that lesson for their sons to take forward, whether it's, yeah, like you said, Jonathan Kent, whether it's Jarrell, whether it's Thomas Wayne, whether it's Silas Stone, what, you know what I'm saying, like these fathers that make these sacrifices and show their sons what, what they're supposed to do in a sense in these moments, um to protect their own children. But um but go back to even what you said about to now get into those undertones of theodicy.
yeah,
um Lex for sure plays on that throughout the whole film, for sure, or not the whole film, but like there's those moments where he's saying these things like, gems. But the reality is it's not just him. It's the entire film is this, right? But it
yeah.
starts with Batman. It starts with Bruce Wayne with the destruction of Metropolis, right? You're seeing, him being just a man looking, at the destruction, from Superman. The movie starts with him already doubting that which is supposed to be good. How is this man supposed to be a beacon of hope? How is he supposed to be, someone good for us when all that when all this destruction and death has occurred around us, right? The very fabric of the Odyssey is established right there in the first sequence, you know, um, and it continues, right? Like, and it because full circle when you get to the end, right? Like, you were never a god, you were never even a man, like he's
Yeah.
it's establishing the very notion that he was grappling with, to its extreme. Like, not only are you not a god, but nigga, you ain't even a man, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It also showed the how powerful the mind can be when it
mhm,
comes to playing those tricks, man. Because essentially, I always saw that part of the film as Batman wasn't fighting Superman; he's actually fighting himself. He was fighting his guilt. Because remember, we see the ha 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 on the Robin suit. We see all this other stuff, and that's another sign of like your biggest battle is never with the person in front of you. It's the person who you see in the mirror. You know,
100%.
it's with the person within, and
Yeah.
that was the biggest battle in that film that really many people don't touch on because you're so focused on all the aesthetics and
Hmm.
how literally physically it's Superman versus Batman, but it's mainly that because you could only really get that is when you see the snap in Bruce's mind of when Lois is like, "Yo, chill out, like relax, bro. Like it's his mother's name," and he goes, I've just been played. Like I've just I gotta I let myself, and it's almost like he wanted to get enticed to fight him because he didn't have the right place to release that anger, release what he was feeling, and it's like because you got to think, man, this is the greatest detective in the world, and you're gonna think a little, little clippings and stuff like that, like not taking away of anything Lex did because Lex orchestrated this, but he also Bruce, I'm getting at here is that he also allowed himself to do that because he knew this was his only way to release what he had inside,
Right.
and that is throughout the whole film what Alfred is telling him about.
Right.
He's like, you're not fighting Superman for the people. Stop lying to us. Stop lying to the people. Stop
Hmm.
lying to yourself. Because really, you're there. You're really not fighting him. You're fighting yourself.
Right.
So
No, no,
yeah,
you're
it's a
you're right on
crazy
the
it's a
money.
crazy story. It's like it's like a battle within another battle that leads back to the start of the battle. If that makes sense.
No, no, you're on the money. I mean, again, this is why I say, like, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about movies that have substance behind it. It's more
Yeah.
than, it's like there's so many layers to this. You peel and there's this, you peel and there's that, because like even this idea of the battle within, it's not even just Batman, right? You see that within Lois, you see that within Superman, you see that within even
Yeah.
Lex to a degree. You see that within the Senator, right? There's notions within ourselves that we're battling, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, heck, whether it's even spiritual, right? The battle is within. Now, what's interesting though, what makes it interesting with Batman is that, or Bruce, is because it's so personal. Like you said, it's the guilt within, right? The death of the family, the death of his colleagues, the co-workers, his his employees, the death of his parents. It's the death of Robin, right? So there's more. The pain within him is it's so great. And like you said, he finally has this figure he can dish it out on, right?
Yeah.
Especially because this figure is being somewhat praised and lifted up, But it's funny because Batman and Bruce is not the only one feeling this way. And that's what's cool about the story plot is that then you have figures that have the same perception, but it's funny because there's no connection, right? So what I mean by that is like then you have a character like Wally, who's on the same boat. He's on the same boat and the same mission to a certain degree, just not as extreme. You know what I mean? But the Wally thing that now I'm kind of getting too ahead of myself, but the idea of it's not even just so it's like it's Bruce, it's Wally, it's those people that are having that discussion about him. Is he the Messiah? Is he whatever? Is he this? Is he that? Whatever.
Another thing to add real quick to that,
Mhm.
and I know when you first see it, when a lot of other people see it, everyone's first thing is like, oh, Batman was trying to kill Superman. The reason why he went so hard on this, and this is me just taking it all in, and I've seen this movie God knows how many freaking times already, and every time I see it, I see something new in it, and it's the fact that Bruce, the one who he really wants to take this out on, that we don't even see in this film, the person he is trying to release this anger, he wants to quote unquote kill, but no, that's against his code. He would never kill. Um, that's the Joker for what he's done, right? That's all this other stuff, all these other villains that he's been wanting to. Me personally, I felt like he allowed himself to do this one because I never thought he was going to kill Superman. Even if he had the chance to, I don't think he ever was because I think it was a thing of this is who I can really just let everything out, pummel him to the ground, and get to a point where I always thought, even if Lois was there or not, he would always never go to that length, even if it was for mankind. I could,
That's a good theory there. I mean, again, we don't know, right? Like,
yeah.
but that's not a bad theory, because you're right. Like all of a sudden he's gonna just break that rule, like type thing.
If you really, this is the only time he can literally, like, everyone talks about we'll go back to the animated series, how Superman is so like they kind of like nerfed him right until that last battle where he's fighting Darkseid and he's like, I can let loose. This is that moment for Bruce slash Batman where he can let loose, so to say, one because he knows the weakness. And mind you, how he calls him the weakness, not the thing that's going to kill him. I found his weakness, and that to me is you know how Zach is, man. He's very play on words, and that to me is where a lot of people kind of miss that message. It's on what Batman was really trying to do to that.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is the where it's like timeline wise, this is where it gets funny because it's like the question is where is Joker in all this, right? Like where was he? To know that would kind of give more highlight to what you're kind of explaining here.
Yeah.
Because again, the question is,
we would have to say it has to be after the Robin died, because we see the in the Ultimate Edition we see the suit with the ha-has
right.
on the Robin suit.
For sure. No doubt about that. But see,
Yeah.
this is where we get into this is why it sucks that we never got the Ayer cut.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Because these are all things. There's so much more to this story plot than meets the eye at the moment for what we have, because there's the whole story plot of he broke in his teeth.
Yeah.
So, like when you're talking about how angry he got, right?
Yep.
He breaks in Joker's teeth. That's how mad he was. Yeah, he didn't kill him, but then again, this is where it's like, man, there's a world there that exists that we don't know exactly what exists, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't
But
know.
as a fan,
I will say this. Again, that's why I said it's a good theory, because we really don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here, on the other side of that, this is the other theory, and this is in this side of the theory we have more context here, right? And it
Right.
would be this. Like I said, when he looks at Superman, he degrades him to the point where he says he's not even a man, almost like he's trying to find the reason to why he can kill him. You're not even a human being, bro. So me
Yeah.
killing you makes no difference. That's how much you could almost say, like, no, I think he was, because he had convinced himself that, like, you're not even this God character, so you're not good. That's essentially what he's saying there. When he's saying you're not God, you're not good, bro. And then when he's saying you're not even a man,
You see that what you're saying right there, man?
Mhm.
That you're not good. That to me is why I feel like he's saying these things. Obviously, he's pushing it all out to Superman, but I still feel like it's that battle of
100%. Again, that's
I'm
what I'm
not
saying.
good.
He's not telling it to Superman. Like,
He's saying it to
he's
himself.
saying everything that he says, but doesn't matter to Superman. It matters more to himself. 100%. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Right? I feel he's trying to convince himself of the very
Yeah.
action he's probably about to take, or probably not, or just struggling to take. Right. And again, that's why I say, like, it just sucks because we'll never really know.
Yeah.
But what we do know
Well,
for
we
sure
might.
is that
We might.
with the words he spoke,
Yeah.
you know that he was convincing himself of why he could kill him, is the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make, right? Like, it's not necessarily that, like we said, he didn't just say it to Superman, just to say it to hurt his feelings right before he kills him.
There's people out there that really do think that. Oh, he was
100%.
just trash talking him. Nah, bro. There's more to it, man.
I mean, that's that was some crazy trash talk, but it's not trash talk. It's him trying to justify to himself why he would be able to actually kill this guy.
Yeah.
Again, you're not God, you're not good, you're not even a man. Your life has no value. That's what he's saying when he says you're not a man. What he's trying to tell himself is your life has no value, so I should just be able to kill you. Again, we'll never really know, but we can. But I like the theory, and I'll probably stand with you on that. I think that's probably right. The only thing people will probably argue against that would be like, well, he just not too long after that he mowed down all those people in the trucks with that tear gun out of his
but you see to add more fuel to the fire, and I know we're kind of like we're going away. But to add more fuel to that fire, just so I can add this to it, because it kind of just rolled in my head. That's the whole he couldn't solve the issue with Robin, right? So we see, again, we don't know that side of the story. We only know what we see, which is the suit and all that stuff, and the note and the letters. So you let your family die, all this stuff. When that dude, I forgot his name, that he's driving in the beginning of the film to get to him, and he dies in the building because of Superman. Now it's like you couldn't right the wrong of Robin, but now you can right this wrong. That's why you convince yourself. You do that because you couldn't do this one, but now you're able to accomplish it. You found the weakness. You found it. Like it's almost all tied in there. It's man, Zach really orchestrated this thing to man.
No, for sure. No, there's layers to this. That's why I love these movies, man. It's not just entertainment, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just these like bland stories or at face value stories. It's like, no, man, there's more depth to them. There's more context. There's more substance. There's more to dig into. philosophically, ideologically, theologically, uh, all in this vehicle of just comic book characters, right? Um, and but yeah, like obviously, like we said, we kind of steered off, bring it
Yeah.
back into the more, I guess, the more theological, more gospel-esque aesthetics that are existing in this world that Zach is building.
Yeah.
Um, if you remember last time, I think it was Penn who asked, who's Lois in the movies, right? Or obviously, we were talking about Man of Steel. I feel like when it gets into BVS, it's more there's more form to who she is in the sense of like who she kind of represents biblically, and at that point, it would be in a sense the disciples, the believers, those who are actually following him, right? Uh, Defending him,
The
willing to
main the
stand up
main
for him.
believer, yeah.
Yeah, so she's definitely representative of the believing side of humanity, right? And essentially the bride of Christ, right? Because we'll get there when we get there. So I feel like that's who she represents. When you're looking at Bruce, he's obviously representative of the side of humanity that doesn't believe, right? That are obviously questioning, is Christ really who he says he is?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that doesn't believe. I would say that right there, that the question, and the main thing that I mean, again, like I said this last time, I'm rereading the Bible, and it's all about the not to question God, but it's more like just to believe that God is all good and God will take care of you. Whereas Bruce is more of the well, why is he all good? Why would he take care of us when there's a chance that he can flip a switch and not take care of us? It's that it's almost like he's just questioning it, and he doesn't, because
Well, see,
it's tough to kind of decipher it.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't think that's the case. And there's kind of like I'm gonna kind of take from something else, kind of back up what I'm saying here, because
Mm,
technically it's not established in this universe, but there are other iterations, and I think it's even already been said publicly by somebody who's written for Batman or something like that, whatever. Um, it's known that Batman is I guess, a Catholic belief system wise. He's quote unquote a Catholic, right? So he believes in God, right? Um, the reason, again, I'm not so sure it's that he's struggling with, again, and who God is. It's, or any God for that matter, right? So we're talking about a man who's well learned, right? He's
yeah,
well learned, he's well taught, whatever, blah blah blah. So I'm sure he has plenty of knowledge. I mean, even when you're seeing the way he talks, things that he's saying, the notions of how he deciphers things and thinks about things. I would assume he has knowledge of even other gods, the Greek gods, things of that nature. So I say that to say, because again, if he did not, because his battle isn't the same battle Lex is having, right? Well, that's why I wanted to. This is why I was pointing out the theodicy, the theodicy thing. Why Bruce is more depicting him representative of that in a sense. But also from a different angle, because Lex is more to the core of it. Lex is more to
yeah,
the core of what you're saying, of why he says, that's why I learned long ago that if God was all good, he cannot be all powerful. And if he's all powerful, he cannot be all good, right? Because he's made up his mind on what how he thinks God operates, right? Because God is tribal. God does choose sides, right? There's things he's saying, right? He's very
yeah,
much
yeah,
set in the way he's viewing, right? God, for that matter, right? Meanwhile, he's battling with the thought of it, but not because he's confused on who God is, but because he's not so sure Superman is who he says he is, right? Which is the distinct difference, right? And the reason that's kind of key is because further on, I believe, not only does Bruce or Batman represent the unbeliever, I believe because this is what we have to realize. It's not that when I say, actually, let me put it like this, right? I said he represents the humanity that doesn't believe. What I meant was this: I didn't mean to say doesn't believe in God. What I mean is he doesn't believe. So in the Gospels, you have they believe in God, but you have those that don't believe that Christ says who he says he is, right? So they
Sure.
believe in God, they believe in the God of Abraham, they believe in the God of Moses, but they don't believe Christ is who he says he is. They don't believe he is the Son of God. They don't believe he's the Messiah, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature, right? That's who Batman represents, right? So that's different from an unbeliever as a whole, right? Where that's what Lex is. Lex doesn't believe, period, because the way he sees it, like I said, it's if God were true, this is the truth about him, right? And he you know, because God is tribal, right? Whatever, all that. So he has his definitive look, but so it's not even, and actually Lex, it's not even that he doesn't believe, it's just that he doesn't believe it to be the truth to what it's supposed to be, right? And I'm going to actually get into who I think Lex represents within this gospel of Superman, you know. But Batman, again, he represents those non-beliefs, but I believe he's also depicting someone close to like a Paul figure. And I say that because Batman, in a sense, does try to kill Superman, right? He does try to kill or the Messiah. Where when you get to Paul and his story, right, he is persecuting Christians throughout his like beginning of his campaign when he's still Saul, right? And then when he finally comes face to face with the great white hope, you know what I'm saying, Jesus Christ, whatever, and Jesus tells him, why are you persecuting me, right? And then he comes to realization that I was just about to kill the Messiah, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, or I was about to kill. I was persecuting, like he realized the truth, right? And he finally believes, right? But his mission was to persecute the church, right? So I feel like that's kind of who Batman is. The story plot around him is designed in a way that it's like it's a mixture of a kind of like a Paul type of story,
Yeah,
but also maybe even representative of even the Roman aspect to this. And I say that because I think to myself, even the Roman soldiers that did crucify Christ, like that were there for the crucifixion of Christ, that they did persecute him, right? And you know, and they actually, you know, were part of the mocking him, like, oh, the King of the Jews, whatever, you know, that blah blah blah, right? And then when the occurrence of the actual crucifixion takes place, and there's that rumble in the earth, and everything just, you know, there was a atmospheric change in real time, and where they come to the realization this man was the Son of God, right? And they come to believe, being Roman soldiers. Yes. Like, so I believe that's kind of who Batman represents in the story plot. It's like he's not a believer. He's in the sense of like he's questioning if this guy is really. He doesn't believe he is who he says he is. Not that he's questioning it. He doesn't believe he is who he says he is, right? And again, that's why when you get to the end, he says, "You're not even you were never a god. You're not even a man, right?" But so when you get to Lex, his figure in this again gospel of Superman is he's representative of the Pharisees, right? He is the Pharisee in the story, meaning again he's made up his own doctrine. You know, when you look at the Pharisees in the gospel, the reality is they were so corrupt, but not only were they corrupt, but they also were they also perverted the very truth of who God was for the people, right? And they essentially made their own God. They made their own religion, you know, opposite of what, you know, and you know that this is gonna sound crazy, but like even like Judaism as you see it today isn't the same Judaism or Hebrew Jew from back in the day. It's probably more eminent to, or it probably resembles more of the Pharisee Sadducee type version of it than it does the original, right? But all that to say that I feel like in the storyline, Lex is the Pharisee, right? Hence why he's actually the one. So you're right in a way, right? So let's kind of go back, right? Batman necessarily isn't set out to kill Superman, not initially, like right, like that's actually what we're missing here. Batman wasn't set out to kill Superman, but he definitely did not believe he was who he claimed to be. That's where Batman stood. While Lex is the Pharisee figure, already knowing and dictating this guy, I want him dead because he goes against the very fabric of the truth that I've laid out, right? That's the problem he's struggling with Superman, right? And you kind of even see kind of notes of this even in the new Superman movie, right? It's the notion that Lex can't live with the fact that there is someone this good, right? Or even though, like, obviously, I feel like the Superman and Superman isn't that great of a depiction of that. But so to take it back to BVS, there's no way this Kal-El, this Clark Kent, because he already knows he's Clark Kent as well, right? There's no way this guy is this good. And I'm going to show the world the fraud you are, right? Like that's his whole thing. That's what the Pharisees were set out to do, right? They at every chance they could they thought that they can get Jesus, right? Like, hey, ask him this question. He's gonna fumble the ball here, and we're gonna expose him. But little, then they'd get exposed, right? And every time they tried to expose him, they'd get exposed, right? And even to the very end, right, when he's before the Senate and or before the hearing, and all that, when they're trying to when he's before the Sanhedrin, I'm sorry, right? Same thing. They're trying to get him to slip up and then to try and expose that, hey, you're not who you claim you are. That's who Lex represents in the story. He is set out to, the way the Pharisees were set out to destroy, they wanted to get Christ, kill Christ. That same spirit is what's animated in Lex in this film, in this story plot. Is he is set out to kill Super. He's just not only just kill him, but expose him, right? Like, I need to dethrone you. That's essentially, because you're not the God that I see, right? And that's key, because again, same thing with the Pharisees. The problem with the Pharisees is that they had perversed who God was, the truth of who God was, that the existence of not even just Jesus, but even John the Baptist and a few others, but like Jesus, though, in that storyline, again, went against the very narrative, right? The fact that he would perform miracles on the Sabbath, right? He would do things that were actually true to what he knows God the Father would want, but it went against the very customs and traditions and religion that they had built, for themselves and the people. And this is the problem Lex was struggling with in the film, is that this is who God is to me. And if you really are a God, you are proving me wrong right now. And I can't live with that, So that's who Lex represents in the story plot. I thought that's, again, interesting when you see the story kind of just play out. And it's, again, circling around that discussion of false God. Is he God? Is he the God? Is he this man he claims to be? So you have Lois Lane, who's the believer, fighting to, in the movie, to defend who Superman is, to prove that he is good, to preach the gospel in a sense, set forth the good, do that which, it's the same good that the guy is doing. I'm going to do on what I can do. Batman, again, is representative of that, who just didn't believe Clark is who he says he is, but not set out to kill him just yet. While Lex, being the Pharisee, manipulating things to be what they are, to be that which allows for the persecution to come and to get the Roman soldier to come do their bidding, to come crucify Christ, because the Jews can't.
Another good example on that, real quick, though, is because you kind of just, with you saying it, it's almost like Batman kind of wanted to, I guess, it's like he wanted to almost like make a, for instance, with the Romans with Jesus, they wanted to prove that he is not that guy. You kind of touched on it, and Batman was almost like doing that within himself, but making it more than, because it's easy. What I'm trying to get at is that, like, Batman had a chance where he could have just straight up hit him with the kryptonite, killed him, and proved to everybody, like, yeah, he's not a god. But he really, not to say he drug it out, but he made it seem like he had to almost make this presentation to prove that he's not the god, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, no, you're right on the money with it. It's, again, you're right. You have to wonder. It's because even though throughout the beginning of the film he's clearly trying to figure out who's the white Portuguese, right, or what's the white Portuguese, and he's
Yeah.
eventually we find out that he is trying to get the kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
The crazy part is he does see Superman as an enemy, but it's not clear that he was gonna really act on it right away.
Right.
Right? Not in the same way that once the the explosion at the Senate hearing takes place, and then the letters of Wally that all of a sudden just magically all show up now.
Yeah.
Right? Like just perfect timing, right? Like Lex being the puppet master, he is the manipulator of all this, right? And this is why I say Lex is the Pharisees, because again, the Roman soldiers really weren't set out to do anything with Christ until they were manipulated to by the Pharisees, is my whole point, right? It took the Pharisees to manipulate the scenario to manipulate the people and manipulate the Roman government to do their bidding for them, right? So Lex operates in the same manner, right? It's like, this is what I want, but I'm not going to do it myself. Because I can't do it myself. So I'm going to have this guy do it, who for sure has the cojones.
But you see, but even with that, like how I was saying about Batman, I feel like Lex knows that if Batman was the one to unveil that that Superman is a false god, it's almost like the Romans proving to the people that this guy who's supposed to be your Messiah is a lie. And if a guy like Batman, the vigilante, is the one to unveil that, it'll mean more than Lex doing it himself.
100, right. No, you're on the money with it. No, that's 100% right, because the Roman Empire represented something in that time.
Right.
To, essentially dethrone this guy, make the mockery of this man who claims to be this, but he's clearly not. Yeah, same thing here, right? Lex is using the Bruce, and he's been using him from the jump. Now, that's of note though too, right? Because one has to wonder if the manipulation was happening even way before, right? Like, meaning, yes, we know Bruce.
I don't think the thing is though, I don't think it was a manipulation. I think he allowed himself. He allowed himself to use that as an excuse. And again, you may touch on like, oh, there's no proof of that, but it's just knowing the character of Batman to me, like even with everything, all the notes and everything that he got, like, was he really that blind? Like, to me, it's more fathomable that he just allowed himself to be blind to then go after, like it was almost like an excuse, like, oh yeah, so, look.
I would say the reason that could be, right, why there might be a difference here between, let's just say, okay, let's talk about it. Joker, right? He never kills Joker. Apart from Robin, and not to say that this was little to nothing, that it means nothing, right? It means a lot, obviously. But so Joker probably takes one personal person in your life from the Batman side of things, where the other one takes thousands of people that were personally close to you from the Bruce Wayne side of your world. So, which in a sense means more, right? Because it's like, it really highlights the vulnerability of Bruce Wayne just as a man, right? Because when he's Batman, I'm sure he feels unstoppable, invincible. Hence why, like, even though he's shocked, like, and kind of like almost like, yo, what are you doing here, right? When he's trying to get the kryptonite and Superman just, he just smacks right into Superman like a, strong steel pole, and the Batmobile goes sliding to the side, right? And Superman opens the doors, but you see the invincibility of him as Batman, right? Because he just stands up like, all right, bro, what's up? You're like,
I think it's more of he's realizing he isn't invincible anymore. I think it's more of that.
That's what I'm saying. But that's why so okay, for instance, this is how I know I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying, right?
Mm.
So remember when he says I gotta go break into Lex to the to Lex's house, whatever, blah blah. I'm gonna have to put on the suit again. He
Yeah.
wants to keep putting on the suit because I feel that's where he feels most protected. Now, yeah, I agree with you. Like, yes, he's again, it is that uh it's right in the beginning, right? Where Alfred tells Bruce, like, oh, but things have changed. You
Yeah.
know? And then I can't verbatim, I can't remember the line, but the gods throw thunderbolts, blah blah blah, and then it turns good men cruel, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. What I'm saying is, though, you notice that there's something he still feels more protected by the suit than he does without it.
Yeah.
To the point that he wants to use it for everything. And Alfred has to convince him, like, it was Bruce Wayne who got the information of the Portuguese, whatever, and it's Bruce Wayne who's been invited. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're okay to be Bruce Wayne still. You can still be Bruce Wayne, like, and still
It,
do what you got to do.
yeah, it's almost like Batman or Bruce. In this notion, he feels safer in his isolation than he is letting himself in. Letting himself out there with Bruce. With Bruce, you saw he talked to the Russian guy in the fight thing. When he
Right,
showed up there, he met low key Wonder Woman,
right,
Diana.
right,
Like he had to actually become a part of something to unveil everything. Where it's like with Batman, it's just that brute force of I can shut myself down and
right.
just focus.
No, 100%, 100%. So, like, again, that's why, and that's another layer to this, right? When you're
Yeah,
talking about the masks we put on to, the things that we put on to kind of like protect ourselves, from the very thing we need to face, right? Because again, when you're looking at, and it's not to make light of, again, the death of Robin, because again, it's still something obviously that does affect them, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, but when you're looking at, like, let's say, as Bruce Wayne the child, he couldn't protect his parents, right? There's nothing he could do about the death of his parents. Um, and then here he is, Bruce Wayne the man, and there was nothing he could do about Jack and the rest of the people that worked for him in that building. Wally, who had to, like, help get him out of that steel beam and know that this man is paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life, or maybe from the, I don't know, dies down, I guess, but so uh it's almost like there's more damage done, in a sense, when I'm just Bruce Wayne. And this is why I say it sucks that we never got this side of the story of the whole ha ha ha, like,
yeah.
a continuation to that, which I'm sure we would have gotten more of that in Ben Affleck's The Batman.
We probably would have got the whole story
The whole story,
in that.
so
Yeah,
that it sucks that we're kind of like still like in
and even in the
limbo.
air cut, I feel like we would have got a little bit
Right,
pieces of it.
right,
Maybe flashbacks or something.
right.
Yeah,
But yeah, exactly. So that's why I think you're not wrong. Again, like I said, obviously, yeah, Bruce Wayne was uh, felt vulnerable, but I think you're right. Like, yeah, again, it's like Lex. I still feel is manipulating him. I only say that because, but manipulate him in a way, not completely, because I do feel a lot of it is on him. It's
yeah.
not like he's being manipulated because it's his own emotions that are in the way of allowing him to just process the truth for
It
what
it
he is.
it lines with his feel of like I want to release this. He's giving me the quote unquote because the only reason why I keep coming back to that is
Mhm,
because and it's a character that I mean you've touched on him a little bit,
mhm,
but not many people give him the credit in this film. And shout out to Zach to doing this, and that's Alfred.
mhm.
And one of the major conversations we see in BVS is between Alfred and Bruce. And I would say 90% of the film, it's Bruce trying to convince Alfred that what he's doing is right.
Right.
And Alfred is trying to convince Bruce that it's not right what he's doing. It's easier to do it this way,
Mhm.
to blame Superman. And that's why that whole when he, he saves Martha in the warehouse. And I know I kind of jumped ahead here, but he saves Martha in the warehouse. He jumps into the bat wing, and the first thing he says there is that I wouldn't be where I am today without you, Alfred. Like he almost apologizes to Alfred, like admitting, like you're
Oh
right.
no, 100%. And
You know?
here's even more into that though. This is why again, the Bruce Wayne Batman aspect to this and what it represents in the film is it's really a lot because and here's the thing. I think the reason why he's also tussling with the existence of Superman is because I think it's the very fact that you have this guy who essentially again destroyed almost half of us, not on his own, but you know what I'm saying, like, but the consequences of the battle that he had with
Yeah.
Zod in Metropolis, right? It destroyed so much, and a lot of people died and paid the price for it, right? And then obviously his own Wayne Tower in Metropolis, right? Um, and but so like you look at that, and yet this man is being worshipped, right? Like there's still people that do believe this guy is, you know, a savior. He's hope. He's hope for the world. And meanwhile, here I've been fighting crime in Gotham, and I'm still the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And probably even more so because throughout the years he probably got, you know, maybe even after the whole ha 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 part, he gets more brutal and more violent and all that. And here's what's crazy to even like cement what I'm saying here is that keep in mind in the beginning of the film, when in his first appearance, he's technically right. He technically saves these women from being sex trafficked.
Yeah.
But instead of being grateful, they're afraid.
They're terrified.
But what do they call him?
The devil.
The devil, right? That's who they place him with. Like that's what they view him as, right? That's how much fear he I guess, emulated, and probably, but again, probably who knows why, right? Like who knows? We'll never really know the full extent why. Obviously, yeah, we know he tortures the guy upstairs. We know he brands him, but it's not like they were witnessing that also. You know what I'm saying? They must have witnessed more to say, to be so scared that they kept themselves in the cages. And when the cops got there, they're like, no, the devil is upstairs. You know what I'm saying? He's still here, the devil. You know what I'm saying? So you're looking at a man who's depicted as the devil. He's looked at as that's how they view him. Meanwhile, you got this other guy who saves a kitten out of a tree.
Yeah.
We read a Pup Piece editorial about him, right? And he's this good guy. You know what I'm saying? And you know that that's still the case because even in real time, the headlines change, right? And it's this very statue, false god, right? Where there's finally people coming out saying, like, exposing that no, there's another side to this guy that nobody's bold enough to talk about. But Wally said, I gotta get the message out there, and he puts false god, right? And then that's when Perry dares to make the article and say, title, "Love Affair with Man in the Sky," over or something like that. I forgot how, you know what I'm saying, like, question mark, right?
The Perry White, yeah.
Where so all that to say, you can imagine that it was up until that point that Superman was this good guy, even though that there's clearly conversation happening around him. The Senate hearings are still happening, right? All that stuff. But it wasn't until that moment, false god, love affair with Man in the Sky, over, question, right? That's when the narrative starts changing. But what's interesting about that is the comparison, what I think of what Batman's struggling with, and this is the point I'm making, is when he's looking at Superman and the good he's doing in the world and the hope he's offering the world, it's convicting him of the very thing he's failed to do for all these years. That's what I think he's also grappling with. It's I've been fighting these criminals for how knows how long, and yet I haven't done what this man has done.
And I think it's also he's done it so long this way that he's like, there's no other way to do it.
Mhm.
So you can't be that good because I've been doing this for so long and it only works one way.
Right.
So you're gonna slip up.
Right.
That's what Batman keeps doing. He's like, you're gonna slip up, and it's like, slip up already, man. Do it.
You know, so I think that's again what I like about that depiction is that it's us, right? That's why I say he's representative of us, right? Because when you look at Christ calls you to question your very character, who you are, right? Are you when you see everything that Christ was and what he did and who he is, and you realize like you pale in comparison, right? Like it brings this conviction about you, right? Like, man, like I fall short of what it really truly means to be good, you know? And I think
or if I was ever good.
Or if I was ever good. Exactly. That's right. That's right. Right. Because it could also convict you to the point of realizing like, oh, I was never really good, you know? And I think this is what Superman is causing in Batman's world also, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much happening with Bruce. That's why when you ask me, could he easily be manipulated? I think to a certain degree, yes, because there's all these notions of emotions and thoughts that are taking place that could cause him to be manipulated in a way. But like, again, not directly because he's still making the choices, but in a way that he's not thinking clearly, you know? But again, that's why I think it's funny how I think he embodies us. Bruce and Batman he's us in the storyline.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, he's representative of the people, all right, who are not where we're supposed to be. Lois Lane is trying to get us there. We're all on Bruce Wayne's somewhere between Bruce Wayne and Lois. We're somewhere there. We're either where Bruce Wayne is at or we're somewhere in the between. Yeah. And there's some of us that are on Lois's page, but you know, a lot of us aren't there, right?
Yeah, there's the blind belief, and then there's the questionable belief, you know, where it's like, yeah, I believe it, but why?
Right.
You know, why?
Right. Now, what I like, now another aspect to the story that not that I like, but another aspect to the story that I feel again, another thing that represents that of the Gospels. When you are looking at there's two characters that I feel depict this. When you look at Wally or the African woman, right?
Yeah.
And I feel in the story are almost symbolical of Judas, right? Because they were willing to give him up, you know, like, or willing to lie, or, you know, willing to, you know, to work with Lex, work with the Pharisees to the downfall of Christ. I feel Wally falls more into into that image, but the reason I say I think it's both of them, and it's, again, I say these things, and I'm not saying that everything is 100% concrete the same.
Right.
But it's the way they kind of like emulate the same or have almost similar.
I think what's most beautiful about it is more dependent on how and who watches the film.
100%.
You can get the different stories, because right now you have said 15 different things. I have said 15 different things.
Yeah.
And the thing is, each time we watch it, we see it in a different limelight. And now I'm actually excited to rewatch it, because now I'm going to watch it with how you have said certain things. So now it may either intertwine what I said and what you said, or it might just give me a whole different perspective now on how I watch it. And this is something that Zach does not get credit for, man. And it's like, this is why when we preach this, we need him back, is because we've literally told the story of this film, right? 15 different ways, with so many other ways to continue to depict this film.
Right.
You know? Like no one is doing that right now.
No,
Nobody.
for sure. And it's funny because again, it's like you're right. There's so many, and that's why I said like I'm pointing out what I'm pointing out, but it's not to say that this is the only thing about it. Like there's so
Right,
many. That's why I said earlier. Like, it's like there's layers to this. That's why I say like there's like philosophical things you can grasp, theological, ideological, just so many different components to the story that are really just like mind blowing. Like that it's like, yo, how can so much of this be in one film? And it is, and it is,
Yeah.
and not, but like then it's like, but the crazy part is like it's not just this one film, because when you watch all the 3 films together, it's like, again, that's why I say like a gospel of sorts. It's like it's a magnum opus. It's insane. But so I know I put this background because there's 2 things that I look at this, but like more so the one on the bottom, right? Because that's the one from BVS, and that's that. Earlier we're talking about everyone was battling with what they were battling within, right? Like there was an inner battle.
Yeah.
And that's why every character was actually having that battle. Bruce Wayne was having that battle. Lois was having that battle, right? Like, and it's that question she asked Clark in the beginning, right? Like, I just don't know if this works, right? Like, you being who you are, and, whatever, like us, whatever, because the notions of there's like a conflict of interest, right? And then, because there's now like, am I right to still believe that you're the good guy? Like, or am I blind? Or like there's so much happening there within her. And then you have Superman, same thing, right? Like he knows he's doing good. In his heart, he knows he's doing everything he's doing to be good. But yet, like the doubt and the people that are still like, in a sense, undermining what he's doing, what he stands for, it causes him to somewhat like or have this conflict, right? Where to the point where he calls his mom, like that's how much it's bothering him, right? Like what's happening, that what's he seeing on the news, all these people talking about him, and he's like, "The hell's going on?" And but you see this images like this, right? Where it's like, even in this moment where he just saved this girl out of a burning building, and here you have all these people in a sense worshiping him, and he still has this conflict, like, like how come, I actually do wonder, like, what is the question here? Like what is going on in his head right here? You know what I mean? Like,
do I deserve this praise?
Do I deserve this, right? Because here I am on the other side. People are, saying I'm not the good guy, and that I should be put into question. But here I am, and these people, they worship me because I just, whatever. But now on the other,
I think it's that, and I think it's a little bit of, this is not what I'm trying to be. I just know that this is the right thing to do.
So that's so right. That's just, I like that you just said that, because that was my next point, but from almost a slightly different angle, but like similar context, right? It's so obviously the people are worshiping him. They're already like, they're essentially elevating him to what they want him to be for him or for them. Meanwhile, he's in a sense saying like, that's not who I'm trying to be, or in a sense, the time is not yet, right? And it kind of, for me, just resembles that when you have Christ, when they're trying to elevate him as king, they want to make him king. They want him to usurp the Roman Empire. They want him to, they want him to be that kind of savior. That's the Messiah they wanted him to be at the moment. Like, you gotta save us from the oppression, right? Like, and he's like, it's not time yet. Like, that's not, it's not time for that just yet. But yeah, he's still doing things that are like good for the people. But what they want, right? The freedom from the oppression of the Roman Empire. That's not what I'm here for at the moment. It's not that time. So it's like, I just think about like those moments, even like in the Passion of Christ, where like they're all trying to like touch him. That's also what I think about here, is like when it says Christ would move through the crowds and people would like reach out to him and touch him, you know what I'm saying? Just because, and then some people would even try and touch the lady who touches the end of his garment just to get healed from what she was dealing with. And she does get healed, right? But everybody's like surrounding him. That's to me what I think, I believe this is what also what symbolically, visually, this is what Zach is showing here. It's that same context as when Jesus would walk through the town squares or through the towns or whatever, and everybody would come and gather around him, but like in a sense suffocate him, like, and he'd have to like, he was just, I gotta keep going, so he like had to move around, but everybody was trying to touch him, like, because they knew he was who he said he was, because those people did believe that, you are the Messiah, you are the, I'm saying, you are the, the king, whatever. Same thing here. It's like, I feel like that's what this image represents. It's like, oh, it's, it's our savior, it's our hope, it's Superman, right? Like, and they're all just touching him, because they're in awe, whatever. I feel like that's what this embodies, this image. Again, when we're talking about visuals that are in a sense theologically based, that to me is what that is. Now again, even when you get to the Senate hearings, right, same thing. To me, that is, the Lex via the Wally brings, Superman to the people, to be judged in front of the people, in front of the Sanhedrin, in front of the, now again, this is why I say it's not completely the same, right? Because if you're biblically, by the time Christ is put in front of the Roman or the Roman governor before Pilate and all that stuff, he's already like captured, right? He surrenders himself, right? But in this film, it's the same thing, right? Superman decides to surrender, right? Like the same way he does in the first film, right? He says, I surrender to mankind, whatever, blah, blah. We discuss how that was in the first one, in Man of Steel. But this is the same thing, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to surrender to the will of the people. I'm going to come before the senators and all that. I'll come and speak my piece, whatever. So there's it's this level of submission, of submission that you see in that court hearing. But I feel like that's what that court hearing embodies, right? It's again manufactured by Lex, right? Manipulated by Lex, that court hearing, right? Obviously to his own way of things, right? With the whole explosion and all that. So
I hate to have to do this, but I do have to get going.
You have to get going.
Yeah.
Okay.
We definitely have to do a rain check though, because I want to continue. There's so much to depict left, and we haven't even touched Zach's film yet, dude. Like the Justice League yet.
The Justice League one, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, there's not much after this. I don't know, but if you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. No, I definitely do. Like I'm pushing. I'm way over pushing right now. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, you take care, man. I appreciate you hopping on. It's always good to have you here to just bounce these ideas with you.
Of course, man.
Break this stuff down. But we'll definitely do this next time. And we obviously the next one is Justice League.
Yeah.
I'll definitely wrap this one up though. Catch the rest of it, I guess.
For sure.
But yeah, bro, appreciate you hopping on, man. And it's always a pleasure to have you here, brother.
I appreciate you having me, man. And keep up the good work, brother. Keep it up, man.
We trying, dog. We try.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Be easy.
Out there, right? Be easy.
Yes, sir.
All right, for sure.
Don't forget.
Okay. So where's the other one? Okay, here we go. So yeah, like I said, this scene to me is very much embodying the Senate, or not the scene, I'm sorry. The Senate hearing in the movie is that of like Christ before Pilate, or Christ before the Sanhedrin, boom, it blows up, all that. Because again, those hearings were all manipulated by Lex to happen, right? That Senate hearing for me is like the hearing before the Sanhedrin, before Pilate, before Herod, but that's also true, I think, even when you have that scene when Superman has to kneel before Lex on that rooftop, right? Later into the film, right? It's that same sequence, right? Because probably more so then, because it's even more of a moment of surrender and submission, because Lex has him by, whatever, the way he manipulates that scenario where he has his mother and all that. But it's it's bringing him to heel in a sense where he thinks he has the victory in the same way that the Pharisees thought they had their victory. Like, we got him, he's here before us, smacking him around, mocking him, giving him over to Pilate so that, the Romans can kill him, whatever. Same thing. They think they have the victory and all that. Same kind of concept, I believe. So there's that depiction that, again, very reminiscent of that of the gospel there. Another image or moment in this movie where I said that to me is kind of similar to the Man of Steel movie, where it's that moment when Clark is talking to the priest, and it's even more blatant in that movie because then you right behind him that glass, the stained glass, has that image of the prayer in Gethsemane. And same thing, right? But in this movie, especially since it's actually closer to the death moment, I believe this is the scene that depicts that when Clark is in the mountaintop and he's talking to his father, right? Same, even more close in the sense of that it's in the Garden of Gethsemane. Christ is talking to the Father, right? Father, take this comfort, whatever. That moment of like, heart to heart with his father in the garden, right before he knows what's about to come is going to come. Similar moment here, right? Superman has to go to the mountaintop to see his father, to talk to his father, right? And have that heart to heart moment. It's very spiritual, this scene, because we know Jonathan is dead. We know Jonathan Kent is dead. So it's like, what's happening here? Is this a vision? Is this all in Clark's head? Is this a conversation he wishes he had that he's just depicting in his own mind? Or is there something really spiritual happening here? Like, again, like an actual vision of sorts, that he's actually there talking to his father, very interesting scene, and I like it a lot for this very reason. It embodies to me that moment of like, seeking the Father, and so it's quite interesting to see that. So I feel like this scene depicts that a lot, especially right before what's going to come, and that's obviously his own death. Not that he knows it's coming, because this is shortly after the explosion, but shortly after this, it's the Lois Lane getting thrown off the building, has a saber. Like, shortly after all this kind of follows after this moment, right before we get to the death of Superman. The other part that I also feel like it also kind of emulates to me personally also is there's also that other moment when Jesus goes to the mountaintop with Peter and John, right? I feel like it also represents that too, mountain wise, right? Like up to the mountaintop, that actually embodies that too. It's him talking to his father that to me embodies more of the praying the Gethsemane moment. Now, after this moment, right? It's like I said, it goes into the rooftop scene again. That moment where he has to kneel before Lex, whatever, to surrender, in a sense, and surrendering, right? Jesus is the same, right? He surrenders himself to the Pharisees, to the Sanhedrin, Pilate, Herod, whatever. As far as like, what was going to happen, I guess, going forward, knowing he was going to, as far as giving his life, because he knew that he had to, right? Now, interestingly enough, right, I say this right now, obviously Lex makes Superman face Batman, right? That manipulates that to happen. And again, that's in its own thing. It's its own thing. Although that conversation between Lex and Superman is very crucial to that theodicy concept. No undertone or note in the films that are happening throughout the whole movie. But when Superman faces Batman, I feel like this is another again complexity happening here. How I said earlier that I think Batman representing us, looking at Superman in a way that convicts him of who he is, because Superman is doing everything right, doing all these good things, whatever, and is being recognized for it, right? The only thing that they got on him, or they're trying to get him on, which again is very similar to the Christ story, is they're trying to get him on more legalities, right? Because it's like they can't say he's not good because he's saving people's lives. They're questioning him on the legality of things, right? Now, here's the crazy part about that Senate hearing that's also kind of true about the Pilate hearing. Christ with Pilate, Superman with the Senate. In the Senate hearing, the truth was going to be what it was, and that's that they realized like there's really no fault in Superman, right? And the lady's realizing who the fault's really lying with, right? Obviously, it plays out different in the movie, but nonetheless, the reason that's a key note, though, is because again, there's really nothing Superman is actually guilty of. He's done nothing but good, right? And then so that's the same thing that Pilate is faced with when he's when Christ is before him and he's judging him, and he's trying to get them to tell him what is it he actually did wrong, right? And if you've seen the movies, if you know the part, the story I'm talking about, there's that part where he puts his hand inside in the basin. He says, "I wash my hands," because he knows that he's about to kill this innocent man, and in fact, he tries to do everything in his power to not kill this man, right? To not kill Christ, right? He's like, I don't see no fault in him, right? To the point where he sends him back, right? He's like, when they first bring him to Pilate, Christ to Pilate, he's like, I see no fault in this man, and he sends him back, right? And then they get him to, finally go back to Pilate, whatever. Oh no, I think he wants to send them back. I can't remember now. But all I know is like he tries to do his best not to actually kill him, right? He says, all right, give him a licking, beat him down, whatever, but we're not killing him. But obviously Lex, the Pharisees, whatever, they keep pushing to get that, right? To get that, whatever. And because that's their goal. Their goal is they want to see this man dead. Lex in the movie wants to see Superman dead. That's why I say Lex is very representative of he's the Pharisees in the story plot. Again, there was no fault. There was no fault found in him, right? And in this movie, same thing. There is no fault in Superman, right? But nonetheless, he keeps surrendering to pretty much for the greater good, right? He surrenders to save his mom, right? That's why he surrenders, right? He surrenders to save his mom. And even though he's set to go kill the Bat, to face Batman and kill him, he's not going over there with that mission of mine, right? He gets the Batman and he's trying to explain to him what's going on. And obviously Batman's already set on his thing. Now, what I like about that scene though is again, if Batman views Superman in the way of, like I said, like, man, this man convicts me of who I am, right? Because there's really no fault in him, right? And even the things that I'm trying to blame him for aren't his fault, right? And he's being convicted by this man who's just doing good, who offers hope. Now, opposite end, now here comes Superman trying to come up against Batman. And all he's ever trying to do in the movie is get him to stop, right? To stop being who he is. To stop doing the bad stuff, right? Because what Superman is gauging Batman off of is the things that are happening due to what Batman's doing. Even though we know it's not Batman, right? Like, the branding isn't necessarily Batman sending people to die, but in a sense, it is kind of on you, because if you know that the people you're branding are the people that are, and if you don't know that, there's a lack of effort on your end, but I'm sure you do know that, to why you're still branding these guys, and so all that to say, Superman throughout the whole movie is trying to save Batman from himself, right? Like, in a sense, save Bruce, right? There's like even another aspect to this film that I kind of failed to touch on even before this moment. There's that sequence when they're at Lex's library here or event, right? Or at Lex's house for the library funding and stuff like that, of books and stuff like that. What I like about that sequence is they kind of just, this is one of those like kind of going a little too deep, because essentially this is the superpower of Superman, right? He has a super hearing. But what's cool about this scene is that Alfred's talking to Batman, right, trying to tell him what to do, blah blah blah, and it's hidden from everybody, but it's not hidden from Superman. And what I like about that is like if Superman is this Christ figure, this savior figure, it's essentially the same thing with us and God, right? Us and Christ. Is that what we are able to hide from everybody, our inner thoughts, our inner conversations with ourselves. We can't hide that from Christ. You can't hide that from God. You can't hide that from Jesus Christ, right? So it's like the same thing there. Like it's like you think you're hiding it, but Superman hears it all. Like he's able to catch on the conversation, right? So, anyways, that's like a little tidbit there. But all that to say that, again, Superman being this like figure, this is who he is. And in this movie, he's essentially trying to save Bruce Wayne from himself, right? Even when he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. The moment he gets, he opens the car doors and he comes out, he sees him, right? And so what does he say? He says, "Bury the bat. It's dead," and that's that. Consider this mercy, right? And though like it's very in a very boisterous posture type of way almost, or like almost like stern type of way. Make no mistake, sometimes you got to hear it that way. For the most knuckleheads out there, like sometimes it's like a complete stop. Like, hey, and for those who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. When God intervenes in your life, when you're doing all this reckless, stuff, and that's very much. Sometimes it's like that. It's just like you come face to face with God. You know what I'm saying? And it shakes your world, right? And He tells you, "Hey, Ja, enough is enough. Drop this." Put it dead. We dead in that. You know what I'm saying? That's dead. Consider this mercy. I want you to live. And but like Batman, sometimes that moment isn't enough, and you keep going and you keep going. And you get to that moment where now you're face to face with God. And but and in that fight, obviously, before the kryptonite aspect of it, you have Superman just pretty much putting Batman through the ringer, right? But what's key about this is the fact that he's just beating him up. That's what matters here, because it's like, again, he's not there to kill him, despite the fact that Batman's trying to do everything in his power to like level him out if he can. Even though we all know he knows he can't, right? Like all these things are really more of a distraction, mind games, which is again that's diving more into that side of just appreciating the technicalities of Batman, right, and how great he is at thinking. But just on the aspect of like just the theological perception here, Superman here is just beating him up, and sometimes that happens, man. Like sometimes God puts you through the ringer, just so you can finally learn your lesson. You know what I'm saying? But it's not to kill you. It's never to kill you. It's never to take your life. In that same manner, it's cool to see that moment, right? Superman for sure can kill Batman. Like, let's not what the discussion is. We know he can kill Batman, but it's the fact that he chooses not to, right? And that's essentially that savior position, right? He says, "I came not to judge the world because the world's already judged, but I came here to save it," right? And essentially, that's what Superman's doing here too. It's like, I'm not here to kill you. I'm not here to judge you. Whatever. I'm here to save you, and essentially save you from yourself, but then obviously so that I can then have you also save other people, because I kind of need your help here, right? And which is amazing, because that's essentially the story of Christ, right? It's like He comes to save us, but so that we can also do our part in helping save others, right? It's not just for us, right? Anybody who knows what I'm talking about, the gospel, the salvation isn't just for you alone. It's for you to share with others and bring others to that same salvation, to save others, heal others, right? Like He do all these things, right? So it's kind of a cool part, because here it is again. Superman's not killing him. He's not there to kill him. He's beating him up a bit because he's like, "Yo, what's going on?" But he was really just trying to get him to, "Hey, I'm trying to save let me save you from you, bro, because you're in the dark right now. But can I also just then get once I can help you save you from yourself, can you please help me save others here, right? Right, and essentially it's his mom, right? But now here's another aspect of again how Batman just is the character of Batman really is a almost like a I want to say trifecta. It's so many angles to this character because it's almost also you can also depict almost um in a way he's almost Judas also, right? Like right because it is by Judas that Christ is captured and crucified, right? And it's right the 30 gold or whatever the denaries or I think it was denaries, whatever coins that he sold, sold his own savior for whatever that allowed Christ to be kept, whatever, all that. Um, in similar fashion, right? It's the weapon uh created by Bruce that brings the death of Superman, right? So in a way, Batman is Judas here too, right? It's its own his own I guess you could say selfishness and greed and whatever he was battling at the time, Batman that brings again has him create these weapons which brings the death of Superman. So that there's that angle to this too that is an interesting angle. Um, but obviously, all this leading to this moment, right? The death of Superman. But um, what's what's even another cool depiction here, right? Is that so now when Christ is crucified, right? What you have to understand here is that um, Christ being crucified was him facing death, right? Like, but it's in his resurrection that obviously we see that he conquers death, right? But nonetheless, he faces death and he defeats death, right? In his own sacrifice, right? Now, this is what's kind of cool about this because it's like, so when you see Doomsday, Doomsday is death, right? Uh, when you think Doomsday, not just even the character, even the idea, the concept of Doomsday, the concept of Doomsday is death, right? So when Superman comes face to face with Doomsday, that's him confronting death, which is what Christ's very thing is doing, right? He's so why that's key is because when you're looking at the Gospels, right, and why I say the archetype is so important here because um, when I say Christ says, he says, I came not to judge the world, but to save the world, right? Or I came not to judge the world because the world is already judged, right? And I came here to save it. Or in other contexts, it might actually be condemned. I came here not to condemn, but to save, or something like that. And I think there's another notion where he says the world is condemned already, so I came out to condemn, something like that. What's important about knowing what he means by that is that in a world that's already judged, the wage to our judgment, to our sin, right? The wages of sin is death. So our judgment is death, right? And but that was the truth ever since Adam and Eve, all the way until now, right? Because it wasn't until Adam and Eve are kicked out of the garden for whatever that death was now a thing. So that's the judgment. That's what we are now judged like that. That's the judgment placed on us, right? And especially as far as sin had continued, that was the judgment, right? So death. There's like another. I should have written down scriptures here to actually be more specific. But it says death reigned from Adam till Christ, and then after that, life because there's life in Jesus Christ. So, anyways, all to say that's why when you understand that this is what Christ was actually facing off and fulfilling when he decides to give his own life. That's why it's amazing that Doomsday is the character here to bring on, and it's happened even in the comics. So it's not like but even in the comics, you have to understand what this means, right? So it's not just this movie that does this, but it's in the fashion that they do it in this movie, right? And I'm kind of jumping myself here, jumping ahead of myself because I actually wanted to show this sequence. Um, but to even further understand what who Christ dies for, why he dies, and or gives his who he gives his life for, and then in mirror aspect when you see this sequence in this movie, and why again it's very much depicting the same kind of structure, of who he's dying for, or what he's dying for, right? And it's this sequence here. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. See if we can listen to what he says. I still don't understand how people cannot like this movie. I mean, this whole sequence when Doomsday, Wonder Woman. Look at it. Get in it. Get it. Look at it, please. Well, now here's what's funny about this, though, right? I said last time we talked about Man of Steel, I said in that movie, in Man of Steel, it's Zod who's Satan in that movie, right? He's the role he kind of plays in that film is very much the Satan archetype, and it is Satan who comes to lie, kill, cheat, destroy, whatever, all that, right? And but in this movie, this Doomsday is it is Zod, right? Zod Lex is who Zod becomes Doomsday in this movie, so it's still Zod, it's still Satan, it's still death. Okay.
I love you.
No. No, Clark, you can't.
This is my world.
No, Clark, don't.
You are my world.
No.
Right now, back to that sequence in the mountain, right? He's talking to his father. This is why he says what he says here, right? His father, he's having this heart-to-heart discussion with his father, and his father tells him, something that happened, right? That kind of brought him down and that affected him. But that eventually what took him, what brought him out of that and what saved him was his wife, right? Which, Superman's mom, adoptive mom in the movie, Martha. And he says, she was my world, right? And for her, because she is my world, I was able to live forever. So in this sequence, obviously it's a callback to that, right? Like Lois Lane, how Martha Kent was the world to Jonathan Kent. Lois Lane is the world to Superman. And the reason this is key is because, again, in the scriptures, in the Bible, the church is considered the bride of Christ. That's how he refers, like the way he talks about the church and how he's married to the church, regarding the church as his bride. And essentially, this is who he's dying for, right? But the bride is part of the world, right? And essentially, the world, if they choose to be so, they can also be the bride. They can become part of the church. They can become part of the bride, whatever the case may be, if they choose to accept, right? And this is who Christ dies for, right? So that's why this sequence right here it means something, because Lois Lane is his world. Lois Lane is his bride, or his bride to be, right? And because he was supposed to propose to her, you'd find that later on in the film. But they're together is the whole point, right? That's the love of his life. This is who he loves, and it's his world, right? And this is the world, because she's the world to him. The very act of sacrifice he's about to make is why he makes it her world, his world. And obviously, for those who know, that spear is another picture of the spear of destiny, right? That's the spear that Roman soldiers used to pierce it into the side of Christ when he's crucified, to make sure he's dead, right? That's another reason why I even say Batman also represents the Roman thing, the Roman spirit. But there's a cool part about this sequence that you gotta pay attention to. And again, just more to the imaging. Right there. His hands are like this, right? Now, crazy. Now pay attention to how the body falls. Same thing, right? Cruciform, as they call it. This is not by accident, man. This is by design. I'm telling you, Zach is cooking. He's been cooking. He's been cooking since the beginning, man. He knows what he's doing here. He knows what this character represents. You know what I'm saying? So the way he's playing, not playing, but the way he's cooking with this character and the story around it, it's not necessarily his own idea, as me and Carlos, said last time. It's something that's kind of always been. You're looking at these films, though. He does it in a way that the imagery is just so. The imagery, the dialogue, it's very much, it digs deep into the notions of the theological fabric that exists within this character, especially revolving around him being like a messianic figure, right? A savior figure within DC, right? What Christ is for the real world, right? That's what I'm trying to get at, but I find that these movies like this and stories like this, I feel are the most compelling because there's something about this, whether you recognize it or not. Let's just say, even if you know nothing about the Gospels, but you see a story like this, something about this story resonates within you, even if you know nothing about Christ, or even if you choose to deny Christ, but for somehow, some way, this story right here, this character resonates with you. Either, again, you don't know the Gospels, you don't know Christ, but this story, you see it and it resonates with you, this character, the way he is, the things that he embodies, the sacrifice he makes, this part of the story, something about it resonates with you because truthfully, in your spirit, in your own heart, there's something in there that yearns for that to be the truth. And the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that that is the truth, that this truth does exist in Christ, right? If you choose to actually believe that. Now, let's just say you are of the mindset that you do know the story, and you still choose to not correlate the two. I think you're fighting even harder against the very fabric of the truth that exists. You're essentially doing what Lex does. You're denying the very truth that does exist, or even what Batman does at one point. But hopefully you can see the truth too. But again, this is what makes this. Just again, the art form of how Zach puts this together. It's again, if you're paying attention, you'll see it. You'll see it. And obviously, this sequence here is, if they get to it, it's reminiscent of that one photo of them. That image of them taking Christ down from the cross. I didn't get to it. But again, man, it's like the proof is in the pudding. It's there. And it's like I said, this is that whole sequence is that. It's just, he comes to face with death, doomsday, right? Boom. Sacrifices his own life. The spear of destiny, all that. That whole line, "You are my world," right? He says that to the woman he loves, again, his bride to be. And this is why, again, like I said, I know Man of Steel embodies a lot of the gospel notes throughout it. But when you get to the trilogy of it all, it really flushes out more of the story. There's more notes of it within that story plot, right? And even even when you get to the funeral sequences, right? Even that's amazing because it's like um obviously due to the fact that in this movie there's two characters, right? There's people knowing Superman and there's people who know Clark Kent, right? So in this movie it's a bit different. In the movie it's a bit different because it's two different characters. They're different, you know what I'm saying? But the connection to the characters are still representative of something you see in the scriptures, right? Because so obviously in the scriptures it's Jesus Christ, but um there are those who are personally connected to him closer, while there are those who were connected to him, from just knowing of him, right? And it says that multitudes gathered, for this. So I think that's kind of a cool sequence too when you see the funeral not celebration, but like the I don't know what to call it actually, but when they're celebrating, I guess, the life of Superman, right? In his, when they're walking his casket, whatever, in the city, whatever, and it's all these people. They even build a monument, whatever, or not that they built a monument, where the monument was, right? There's this whole thing. If you seek him, I forgot what it says. I forgot what it says, but who cares? The whole point is like it's all these people, right? But then on the other side, you have the Clark Kent funeral, and it's those that were actually close to him. And then I like the fact that you also still have even Bruce and Wonder Woman there technically, but Diana in the background, just witnessing from a distance, right? Because there's even those that in the scriptures were like witnessing from a distance because they were too scared to be there, during the actual situation. Meanwhile, those that were close for sure were like his mother, his family, which obviously, in the movie, same thing, right? It's obviously it's Lois, it's his mother there, crying, whatever. Blah. So I said there's a lot of things that are just so tied, to tied or representative or symbolically showing something that is within the scripture. And I don't think it's not a coincidence. It's by design. There's a reason why, again, the actual day of Good Friday, he posted that very same image, right, of what he drew and what he drew in the I guess you could say the painting of it, like whatever is symbolic of the painting. Yo, salute to you, bro. Salute to you, bro. He says, "Love your passion on Zach. Keep up the great work." I mean, yeah, no, I mean, well, bro, it's not necessarily it's like when I was speaking on now, it's kind of like it's like a duality of passion, right? It's finding it's the passion that I have and the very obviously belief that I believe, the faith that I believe in, but kind of but finding an appreciation to how this director in his art form and those that work with him, because it's not necessarily, he's not the only one writing the story, um but it's the way that he finds a way to for sure, bro. It's the way that he finds a way to like oh wow, totally forgot to change this to this in the whole conversation. That's essentially what we're talking about, because this is essentially what the film is about. At least this part of the trilogy, it's this part of the trilogy is the Good Friday, with what people observe or observe on Good Friday, right? It's the death, it's the sacrifice of Jesus, right? This film is that, right? In a nutshell. So again, it's not a coincidence that come Good Friday, that day of Good Friday, that's what Zach posted, right? He posted that one painting, I forget what it's called, next to a mock, I don't know if it was like a mock image or something, maybe something that, because he usually draws out whatever he wants to put on camera before he actually shoots it. So I don't know if that's what that was, or maybe if somebody, I don't know, like did that for him. But in the movie they do that, right? Like you see Batman take down, Superman with the cape, like holding him around the cape, bringing him down around the cape, um, and that when you look in the scriptures, there's a certain man, I forget his name. I don't know if it was Jonathan or I forget his name, but that asked to allow him to bring down if they could bring down Jesus from the cross so that they can properly bury him, or properly give him the burial, whatever, in the tomb. And he brought like these fresh linens so that he can wrap Jesus around it and take him to then be washed and all that stuff. So again, it's so that's essentially pin. That's what it is for me. It's kind of just, I'm at awe at just how great this Zach just puts these images in the visuals, right? Okay, and then finds a way to tell it even in the story, right? Like it's where it's it all comes together, like properly depicting, again, almost like you can't mistake it, is my whole point. You can't you can't really deny it. You can deny it if you want to, but like the proof is in the pudding, right? Like when you see these kind of images, right? There's even that painting that does resemble this, where it's instead of here you have Lois Lane in the painting, it's like it's his mother, crying over him and stuff. So it's again, these images aren't, and then even in this image, if you can tell to the left, you can't really tell because it's cut out of this one. It's too big for this background, but there's this almost like cross-like figure in the background, and even in the comics, they did the same thing where they have it's like this thing that's like a cross, and then on the one side it's the Superman cape hanging, but but the thing that it's hanging off, it's essentially like a cross figure, like a figure of it's in the shape of a cross, like whatever it is, like these two poles or whatever they are, like a sticks, whatever. And this is like a pole and something like, I don't know, something that's like maybe it's probably like a electronic wire thing, the whatever is out on the streets, but some of them have that cross shape to them. That's probably what it is, but it's not a coincidence that it's in the background here, right? Zach knows what he's doing. He knows, again, what this character kind of embodies and represents, and what it encapsulates. That again, like if you're denying it, you're just choosing to be either prideful or arrogant enough to just not accept it to be the case. But it is the case, and Zach himself shared it on his Instagram post. Again, I don't know if he's Christian or anything. I can assume so, because in a lot of his conversations he does talk about these types of things. So maybe he's a Christian to a certain degree. Maybe he believes in these kinds of things to a certain degree. I don't know, but I've always stood on this for sure, for a fact, and that's that God uses anybody and anything to push forward his truth and his gospel and his love and all that stuff. All the greatness that comes from what he has to offer. And I feel like this is what this is to me. Like from the first moment I saw Man of Steel and then saw this, and knowing where it was going, even before we got to Justice League, just seeing these things for what they were, I'm like, it's crazy, because I don't know if anybody, at the time I was like, I don't know if anybody sees what I see, but this is what I see. I'm seeing the Gospels being told, the story of Christ, the passion of Christ being told, but in the vehicle and the character of Superman in this movie, or in these movies, and then essentially kind of even led me more to get more into the character of Superman, because I'm like, I was more of a Batman, fan, and it led me to get more deeper into the Superman lore of stuff, and realizing like, oh no, this is kind of who this character is. This isn't just this director who's doing this. This is really who this character embodies, or this is what this character embodies. And then you find out who the creators are, and I'm like, okay, well, not a coincidence, I guess. but yeah, man, all I have to say, Zach was cooking, man, and it's these kind of films that I think DC needs to bring back. Not necessarily that it has to be. This has been done, right? The story of the gospel has been done, and even when you get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, there's things to break down there that kind of depict what follows, right? The what we call Resurrection Sunday, right? For those that observe that, but yeah, man, it's Zach was cooking, man, and they need to bring him back. That's for sure. They need to bring him back. Um, but that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up, guys. It's been live for about 3 hours. Jeez, I was trying to do this a little shorter, but there's so much to break down. It's just hard to really keep these kind of, especially when you're digging into these movies. It's hard to keep them short. Hard to keep these episodes short because there's so much to talk about, so much to break down. And again, this is that I tried to just keep it within the, like I said, the theological theodicy fabric of the film. But the reality, as you saw while me and Silos were discussing, is that there's like so much more than just the the theological aspect of this. There's so much more to it, and that's what I enjoy about these films, man. And I believe that's why you got to bring them back. That's why you gotta, again, what I had showing the whole time, which I didn't mean to, but hashtag restore the Snyderverse. That's why we're pushing it, because we're hoping this is what Paramount does, man. We need more substantive storytelling when it comes to these characters, visuals that really captivate, the mind and the eye. You know what I mean? And up until this point, the only ones that have done it really good, really well, Nolan and Snyder. Nolan said he's done with it, so it's up to Snyder now. Up until this point. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some good shots from well, you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention David Ayer. David Ayer did a good job too with the Suicide Squad. There was a lot of cool shots there visually and story-wise. I hope one day we get to see his actual story. But there was a lot of good visual shots and story concepts that if they would have actually flushed out the way he wanted to, it would have been 10 times better than what it was. And that was, to me, still a good film. And it did well for a reason, but I believe it could have done even better if they would have stuck to the format intended, from the inception of DC. They at that point they started chasing the Marvel bag. And then even Patty Jenkins, she did some cool stuff with Wonder Woman, and probably I'm not gonna say, but maybe because there was some Zack Snyder influence there. I don't know. And then even what's his name? James Wan with Aquaman. He did some good stuff with that too. There's that is the height of DC. I always tell when you really think about DC at its peak, best DC, it's started with Nolan, Zack Snyder, Ayer, Patty, James Wan, and that's kind of where it stops. Unfortunately, as much as David Sandberg, I think, had really good intentions, and honestly, that first Shazam movie was like, for what it was okay. It was good. I enjoyed it. It probably could have been better if they would have not been trying to chase that Marvel bag. But yeah, all that to say that that's what we need to get back to, and I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling that that's where we're going. I feel like that's where things are heading. And it's just a matter of time. Next week, the voting, the shareholder voting is going to happen. I think Paramount's going to come in and really change things up, man. But anyways, that being said, I just wanted to finish off with the part 2 of the, again, breaking down BVS, the death, sacrifice, Good Friday observation aspects that exist, notions of characters that embody certain things about the Gospels and that are interesting enough. and we're gonna go probably next Friday do the Zack Snyder's Justice League. So again, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays is the days I'm trying to go live. If I don't get to it, I apologize. I'm technically doing classes today on these days, and they're evening classes as well from 4 to 8. So it's kind of kind of the reason why I'm starting these lives a little later these not nowadays. So you'll either catch me at noon or at night. I've chosen to do night these past Wednesday and today. But next Friday I am going to do one at noon also, because there's an interesting conversation I'm going to have with Marcus on he's been showing me some stuff and things that I kind of been like okay, there's something more here that we can dig into. And it's that AI conversation. Like where are we really going with this whole AI thing? So stay tuned for that. Other than that, guys, like I said, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'll be going live either late at night or in the afternoon before going to my classes. So just stay tuned, pay attention. Forgive me for the moments that I say I'm going to go live and I don't get to. That's those are just I think it was Monday. It's just I got out stupid late from that class. Got home, I was starving, and at that point I'm like, you know what? It's just a little too late to go live, so left that as that. But anyways, stay tuned, guys. For those that watched, thank you, guys. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share. Again, if you agree or disagree, or if you, with anything we said, or if you have something to add to what we said, man, by all means, put it in the comment section. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you got from these movies. Or even like if you want to input on the beginning part of our discussion where we kind of discuss the future of DC, where it could go and all that. Again, let us know in the comment section. Let me know. Make sure to follow Stilos and Real Talk Productions on his streaming platforms. His music, go listen to it. It's pretty good. I like it, man. I'm vibing to it, man. And he's dropping something like almost every day. No. But he's been on it. So and then like my music, Il Divino Vega music, or Il Divino Vega, all music streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Tidal, wherever you listen to music to, make sure you check that out. And again, as far as the streaming live streams and the podcasting goes, Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, IG, wherever you're following, wherever just again, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell, make sure to share this with people that might be interested in this conversation. And let's grow this. Let's grow this community. Let's grow this conversation. Again, I want people to like. I want to see what other people think. I like to hear what other people think. I like to engage with other people, man. So just again, let me know in the comment section. That being said, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Y'all don't even know. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate those that were in the comment section. And for anybody who watches this after the fact, I appreciate you. That being said, much love. God bless.
New era niggas just scream out gang gang. My era niggas outside that gang bang. Old enough to know niggas that made it onto gangland. I don't say that to grandstand, I'm just spitting the facts, man. New rappers too busy just making sing-alongs. More raps will have it going savage like the Viacom. You don't want the smoke, homie, then your weed is strong. Good to see you smoke along to that Cheech and Chong. Me and my team, we on the front line. Steady putting in work, homie, it's always crunch time. Hard times produce me, dog. This ain't a movie, it ain't WWE when I mention the bloodline. Homie, I want mine, that's why I move different. Y'all too laxy daisy, I keep myself disciplined. Repetition on repetition, training is rigorous. Only way to survive the streets that's dangerous and vigorous. Behavior villainous, leave no traces of witnesses. Moment of silence for the taking of all our innocence. Now back to business, somewhat of a practitioner, cause there's no shortcuts in life, no pills that make you limitless. That's ridiculous, far set from reality, like loose that's licorice. Frame of thought is insanity, causing calamity if you actually watching and listening. Hopes and catching out from the dudes that started visiting. How you missing it? Losing profits and dividends. The way your boys been cooking, they need to give me a Michelin. The bliss is ignorance, say they don't like to mention them. But say we don't mention the bodies that's in Lake Michigan. Fucking hypocrites, I separate from the fakes. Run with a pride of lines, identify all the stakes. Hubris says they folly and catch on other mistakes. Matter of time before they're just another body that's in the lake. Navigate these troubled waters, won't choose my fate. My vision is too ambition, like Alexander the Great. Say there's much on my plate, but I carry my weight, figuratively and literally, for all those who can relate. I never break, you never get me to fold, you never get me to leave. Chicago is still my home, but I carry my heat. This windy city is cold. Valentine's Day massacre, but was it really Capone? Face blown out of proportion, the different views of contortion. Use best proceed with precaution before you lie dead in a coffin. It's not a threat, that's a promise. Best quit talking your nonsense, your body could end up missing. Got your family claiming we lost them. Can't find them, bad time and he's flatlining. Good riddance, bit a negative to mankind. And I'm like Jack Reacher, the equalizer, John Wick, Jason Bourne, the accountant. Either one, you could take your pick. The damage I could do with my side weapon. John Wick with my P40 Smith & Wesson. Opposition lightweight, so I'm not threatened. I'm just glad about the hate that they keep sending. It's really easy talk that rah-rah on the internet. There's word to Zaza, I heard y'all ain't got your fingers wet. Don't get your cherry pop by the very op. We bustin' real ones, got the heavy guap, you just carry props. Bunch of these gangsters claim to be hard to the core, but they really not like women that claim to be faithful. But they really thought, act like they down, but when shit goes down, they call the city cops. Same fools think they know a lot, no dilly squad. Tired of all of this fake shit, with fake asses and fake tits. They fake smiles with fake lips, Picasso looking with their facelift. What I call the good replacement, with the so-called real are the fakest. So the fakest niggas are the greatest. What was common sense no longer makes sense. What was common sense is now rare sense. What was funny then is now flagrant. Living in your thoughts, I don't pay rent. I take my time, you lack patience. Then your blood drip on the pavement. With a headshot, got you brainless. After getting hit with that stainless, kill instinct, call me craven.